his kicks, Jeremy Cameron. There it is. Side bottom. Yes.
I love goals. They're beautiful, each in their own way. Big bombs.
Get him a longer contract. What a kick.
Bananas. Torps.
He's gone to it. Bring back the barrel. Open goal.
No, not those. I love soccer goals.
Boots it for his life. For his life, Tommy Hawkins. And he's kicked the goal of his life.
Running goals.
Manassa goes for a run. Jenna can go all the way. Goes for handball, no plans for handball. Won't be left Manassa. Gonna trick the goal. Usain Bolt couldn't get him now. And Jenna puts on another one.
Now there are a chance for Saints for another goal.
No! Last warning, do not test me on this. The best goals are the big bags, when blokes just go off.
13 goals to Apple.
Today, boss. And bang, there is number 12.
John Cummings has got 13.
Not these modern bags of 6 or 7, they can ship off. I'm talking double digits, 10, 11, 12 or
13! 13!
It's about the spearheads, banging through goal after goal after goal. It's Big Bag Week on Fox Footy.
Open goal.
Oh, that is it. If you blokes put that in my big bag round, you've got another thing. Dribble kicks. Give me a spell, you blokes.
We do love Jason Dunstall here at Fox Footy, and today we will be celebrating our great mate because we are going back to 1996 and a game where the Chief kicked 14 goals. Hello and welcome to Super Saturday on Fox, proudly brought to you by the Ford Ranger. I've got two of Jason's very best friends here and old partner in crime at Hawthorn, Dermot Brereton.
Afternoon.
A man who had Jason's poster on his bedroom wall growing up in Tasmania. Looking forward to this one, Nick.
I absolutely am. This was peak football watching for me as a child. And,
How old were you? 96?
96, I was 14.
Okay, yeah,
14.
peak.
Yeah, peak. So right into it. So wasn't quite peak Hawthorn days when you were there, Derm, and when the Hawks were winning flags. But for me, Jason Dunstall was my absolute hero growing up. I subsequently met him later on in life and was forced to reassess my standards a little bit. But no, this is going to be a lot of fun because...
He was incredible.
Unbelievable player.
Yeah.
So 1996 was the centenary of AFL football. North Melbourne were the premiers. Fossey and Hurdy tied for the Brownlow medal. Plugger was the Coleman medalist. He was certainly an absolute powerhouse at that stage of his career, and a big sporting year for Australia overseas. There was that famous Masters meltdown from Greg Norman, and then the Atlanta Olympics as well, where Kieran Perkins won from lane 8. It was a great year for sport in Australia.
The Kieran Perkins one was one where everybody stopped. Where were you when Perkins won that? The thing is, you've got to understand, right about now during this game was roughly when the simmering started, Hawthorn merging with the Demons as well. So they were a club unknown of their future at that stage. So even though we look at the team that was on paper, they had a reasonable line-up there, but their glory days they were coming down the other side of the hill.
How does that happen so quickly? After, it's 91, you win the flag, and then 5 years later, that's the conversation that's occurring.
Basically, they had a spine, the Hawks, and outside of that spine, they probably had 2 or 3 other blokes who could slip into that spine if one of those spine players was out. And there was only 2 left.
Here is the lineup here, Derm, and as you say, a pretty handy spine still.
Yeah, so Langford was part of that all-time great spine. Dunstall was the other one. Nick Holland came in and was a wonderful, wonderful player, a lockdown centre-half forward after a while. But that spine you made mention of, there's really only the 2 of them left there at that stage, and they were in the twilight of their career. So everything else is supplemented around them, but there's still some fantastic names there. You were asking before, as we were going through the rundown, the interchange there, Ray Jenke could be the best balanced player I think I've ever seen. Unbelievable balance, beautiful player. He was one of these players that if you were chasing him full tilt and he felt a threat coming from this way and he needed to bounce, he could bounce right-handed. You get past that, still having to go full tilt, get threat this way, total at full whack, bounce on the left hand, no problem. I've never seen any other player bounce the ball equally at full pace, under pressure, like Ray Janke. That's the kind of balance he had.
And confidence, he must.
Oh, pure, yeah.
That's
a beautiful foot skills. Played for Victoria, State of Origin player.
All right, our focus today will be Jason Dunstall, but they are playing Footscray, of course, and we have a look at the doggies as they run out and take us through this team. We've got Brad Johnson there.
They were second bottom, the Dogs at this stage, so Bung's clearly just beating up on one of the...
well, he's had his nemesis, wasn't playing this night, Zeno Zatzaris. Zeno played on him a couple of times and kept him to jack all.
Did he really, Zeno?
He might have kicked one or two on him, but I'd make out he didn't kick any on him. And there was another bloke, Greg Eppleton, played once on him, kept him goalless in a second half. I think Bung might have been a little bit out of sorts, but... It's fair to say what we're about to see, he gets hold of them this afternoon.
And we are going to check in with him. We're going to be calling him throughout the coverage and the recall just to see how he is reliving it.
Is he going to be watching it as we go?
Of course.
Is he that sort of bloke?
That means
watching his own work?
We'll have a live link to his kitchen, is where the only place you'll catch him on a Saturday afternoon as he's just eating his way through the hours.
Of course, he is our Chemist Warehouse player in focus. You're being a bit silly, of course. He is one of the greatest players to have ever played the game, 1,254 goals, and we will see 14 of them tonight. In all seriousness, what made him so good?
The combination of power, acceleration, and his hands. You get this feeling, not these in the last 8 weeks or so, you get this feeling when you shake somebody's hands to say hello, you get a feeling of the power within them. You shake Jason's hands and he's incredibly powerful. He could lead out, and when you sprint lead and you come at the ball and the ball's speared at you, being able to clutch onto it one grab, he was unbelievable like that. But he was, look, it irks me to say this, and it transferred to the footy field, he's incredibly intelligent, ordinary, but he's an incredibly intelligent man, and you could see the way he played football. He could think ahead of the situation. He could work out where the ball's floating to, where it's dropping, how to nudge you under this way, step back and take it. He also had this ability in the gym. He was the biggest bench presser at our club. He had this ability to touch feel his opponent, go bang, and it was explosive. The bloke would rock it that way and he'd be off that way. So
what you said about him being smart, and we know he is, he loves doing the crossword with us in here. He's very methodical as well, Nick. We see when he gets out the rundown here at Fox Footy, he always works his way through it with his highlighters and his pen. Would have that helped him as a footballer and as the type of goal kicker he was, that method-based player? Oh, I think so, particularly the close skill of actually finishing in front of the goals. I mean, he speaks all the time about just how simple the art of goal kicking is, and you have a look at his action. It was exactly that. It was methodical. It was uncomplicated. Much like when he's in here, he just very methodical man. He is, absolutely. Very, very measured, very methodical. All right, in 1996, the Ansett Cup was at Waverley. What was footy at Waverley like? Nick was saying before he never got to experience it as a fan. I think I only went there one or two times as a Bombers fan. They didn't play much when I was a youngster. It was terribly cold. Nick, you would have loved it. It was a ground that suited... I honestly thought it was a ground that suited half-forwards who were prepared to run and roam and take big angled leads. You had so much room to bend leads. So Jason and I played in... David King and I he helped me look up the stats. I can't remember him kicking a big bag on the ground where I was out there with him at Waverley. And the times... the reason was that... the two of us kicking bags out there, the reason is it's so big that if you had two key forwards, one would end up, like I would end up on the wing on my leads because it's so big to make the link, which puts you 90 metres away from the full forward goal square, and Jason would lead from there. So rarely did you ever get the combination of two key forwards kicking big scores together between them. It was predominantly he would get, you know, a good bag out there. But you would have loved that ground. The width on it would allow you to work. You'd run out there and you'd look at your opponent, you'd know the opponent's capabilities, and you'd say, he can't run all that well after the
12, 15-minute mark, that's when I drop the hammer, that's when I go harder, and you'd run him into the deck. So that's what that ground did. And for a full forward, you don't have narrow pockets where it's the full back's only got to worry about the V you lead into. The boundary line went square for about 10 metres before it started to curl. So there was space everywhere for a full forward.
Jace kicked 565 of his goals at Waverley.
Hence, and probably only played 100 and maybe games there, so he's averaging over 5 a game at Waverley because of all that space, left one out inside, say, 30, 40 metres,
All right, another crazy memory from Waverley, Angry Anderson's performance in 1991. Now, I'm confused about this and what it all meant. Can you make some sense of it?
91 grand final, so the MCG was under reconstruction, so the grand final was out there, And what, people say, oh, you played in that one, we're angry. What was that like? Jeff Fennick, Lionel Rose.
The look on everyone's face.
Ian Baker Finch, he was a Hawthorn supporter. Steve Monaghetti trying to tap his foot.
Wow.
Jimmy, the gentleman Jimmy Steins. We were downstairs, we didn't see it. We were in the dugouts, we were in the room, so we didn't see it when we heard about it when we came up.
Super Bowl, is it, Nick?
No, it's not. We've come a long way. We have. We've come a long way. Well, we've come a long way. No, we've got, well, Meatloaf, no.
I believe
the Killers, that's it. That's
Yeah,
an
the
upgrade.
that Batmobile is still in existence somewhere. I saw it about 10 years ago.
Where would that be kept?
Oh, I don't know, but it is housed somewhere. Hang on, and there's the
Long-sleeved umpire.
The rubber pad there in the middle of the...
Hayden Kennedy, a legendary umpire. Well, we are looking forward to each and every one of Jason's 14 goals today. I'm particularly looking forward to number 13 because Anthony Hudson is calling the action.
They both...
You're watching Super Saturday on Fox, brought to you by Ford Ranger.
So the Fox Footy Time Machine takes us back to round 19, a cold August night in 1996. Malcolm Blight and Kevin Bartlett were calling the ball-by-ball action, and Lee Matthews was with him. There's a free kick straight away to Jose Ramiro, who's tagging Shane Crawford in this game. We're at a wet Waverley Park. Have a look at the surface, Derm and Rui. On this big bag weekend, we're looking forward to seeing what Jason Dunstall can deliver, and some of the characters from the Bulldogs as well. Obviously been a wet winter in Melbourne. There'd been quite a bit of underage footy played at Waverley, and it was showing the strains of that. There's the Brownlow medalist from a few years before, Scotty Wind, off to our own Brad Johnson. So the Dogs go forward into what looks like a bit of a quagmire. Luke Darcy, he's relatively early years, getting early possession. There's Peter Quill, the West Australian, screwing the ball forward. And Jono makes a bit of a meal of that, Rui. You can get stuck in the for that.
Well, it is wet, and when you showed up, I don't know what you thought, Derm, as a forward, but when you showed up and it was conditions like this, you usually anticipated a pretty tough day at the office.
You did, except if you have a look at that shine on the mud, it got very sticky. Well rove there by Colin. Look, Andy Collins, he was a champion. Talk about brutally hard players.
In his last year too, Andy Collins, at this stage, what a player he was for Hawthorn. There's Pritchard kicking it out to the wing, and Nick Holland versus Chris Grant. A couple of fine players there, particularly Chris Grant. So here's the ladder. So you've got to remember as we look down the bottom, and the Hawks eventually would make the 8, that Terry Wallace took over mid-season this year. And so they played some decent footy without having too many wins, obviously. They'd started to get closer, including to that game at the MCG against St Kilda, where against Collingwood, where Terry got pretty animated in the rooms.
Yeah, absolutely. Look how skinny Daniel Chick was. That would have been his first season, I would think. Richie Taylor.
Richard Taylor.
Good little player.
Just 29 games at this stage. He'd end up following Ken Judge back to Perth, where he originated from, and would finish his career with the West Coast Eagles.
The high ball that went into the Doggies forward line about 30 seconds ago was a big spoil caught behind Todd Curley.
Yes.
His career came to an abrupt halt.
Yeah, and there's Dunstall, takes the mark.
So Campbell, who's playing on him from behind there, He'd played on him before when playing at Melbourne and done reasonably well. So Campbell was a big fella, about the 6'2.5", maybe 6'3" mark, but big, solidly built fella there. He brought out the gloves as an issue, didn't he?
And he was 2 years out of footy, trying to get an NFL career, one of the early ones.
Yeah. So, Jason, I mean, that was stock and trade, Nick, for what he could do very well. Just judge the ball in flight very, very well.
With all this time and concentration, you'd think he'd kick truly from here, wouldn't you, Jason? But he hits the post.
Oh.
So an injury early, not helping the Bulldogs situation. Scotty West.
Right-hand side of screen coming in now.
And he hurts his shoulder. And the tackle seemed fairly innocuous, but that's it for the night for Scotty West.
Wow.
Star of the Footscray and Bulldogs club, of course, Scotty West. So he's out for the night.
So that is an extraordinary turnaround for the Bulldogs then, from this year in 96, second last at the moment, to a prelim in 97.
Yeah, look, there was a fair bit going on at the footy club. I think behind the scenes there was about to be a transfer of boards, and obviously there was a question of whether Terry, who was the reserves coach, would remain as the coach. There's a young Daniel Harford driving the Hawks forward. Rowan Smith, his 72nd game for the Bulldogs. So
that was good play.
Prime of his career ahead of him, getting them forward.
Woogie, what are you doing?
He's got the backhanded fist.
And there's Daniel Hargraves taking the mark for the Bulldogs.
He was the replacement coming in, very similarly built, similar look to a fella by the name of Rudy Mandamaker.
Oh, damn.
No, look, Daniel Hargraves was pretty good for a while there. He was very good overhead, good aerial capabilities.
Yeah, he had I think a season which was pretty decent, and then he ended up at Freo as well. So here he goes off a couple of steps and can't give the Dogs the goal they needed to get things started.
It was a young Mark Graham as well, chased him out on the lead there. Ended up played a couple of hundred games and played with Richmond at the final. Brendan Crummell kicking in. Ken Judge was very keen on Brendan Crummell as a recruit. East Fremantle boy originally. There's Jenky. I've wrapped him about his kicking. Yeah, he got that right. Thought he was going to pop it out in the full.
And here's Andy Collins, who takes the mark at halfback. Not a big crowd out here at Waverley tonight, boys. It's a bit cold. It's kept a few away, I think. Darcy can't take the mark. Daniel Chick, Daniel Harford. And the ball goes over and out on the wing.
Boot. Yeah, it came off the boot, I think, in the end. Rowan Smith doesn't know it's his. Smith, come back.
People used to talk about Waverley being in the rain belt. Is that fact, or is that?
I think the really low-hanging clouds did not get up over the Dandenongs, and they might have just hung there a bit longer.
So it's Brad Wira who handed the ball back to Smith. There's Chris Langford. He too getting towards the end of his magnificent career with the Hawks. Ball up for grabs on the wing. And that's the sort of night where you got to commit the body. Play on's the call, though. Jono's away. Or is he? Didn't quite know where to go, but there's the other, Mick Martin. Michael Martin.
Oh, he was quick, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's actually ended up in
Brisbane.
Yeah, just had a year at Brisbane. Kapler goes to Dunstall.
So what you've seen there, that little bit of footage, I know it very, very well. Dunstall would have come out, led straight up the ground, and just on that passage of play, you caught him swinging, arcing around to his left because he knew Kapler was a left footer. As we talked with Sarah before, highly intelligent. He would have recognised that Kapler would have seen that space and been a left footer, been able to hook that across. 98 kilograms, put the other foot on the scale, I reckon.
Just temper your work doing this afternoon.
I'm going to be fair.
Don't go too hard too early on Jace.
Going to be fair.
He's turning 32 next week, Jason Dunstall, and he's kicked his first goal. And the Hawks are away. I've got a feeling he could be in for a big evening.
Gee, gone out on a limb there, Hutto. Let's have a look at the goal-kicking technique here. It is so simple. A couple steps in, and you talk about the power, Doom. Yeah. It's on full display there.
Well, the thing I used to notice about him, And I know I muck around with Jason. I don't think he had an attractive kicking style. It wasn't fluent, but one thing he did, he held the ball incredibly still. And a lot of players wavered up and down a little bit. He held it just motionless until he struck it.
Yeah, we can maybe talk about that a little bit more as the match progresses. They're on the move again. Taylor, this time Dunstall goes the other side. So he read the left foot of Kepler.
Yeah, and he bends over the other side, yeah.
Reads the other way for Taylor.
Well, the body would have been forced out to that. He's just run dead straight there, Richard Taylor. You see, he doesn't really pull it across his body that far. Dunstall recognises the space on his right, bends the lead. So his standard was to take his fullback on a committed lead for half a dozen steps straight up the field and then angle the lead around.
And he comes in and converts. He's rubbing his hands together, Jace. He thinks he's in for a big one.
So have a look at this. If your shoulders are square, perpendicular to the target, your hips will follow. So right there, everything is absolutely square. When I say he kept the ball motionless, it's not attractive. It's not a Mark Bayes fluency style or anything like that, but it was just pure, as you called it, simple. It's a pure kick. Everything's aligned.
Well, he always laments goal kickers that run out with a bit of an arc, or if you run to the right, the ball's you're either going to push it right or you're going to overcompensate. So he practices what he preached, or preaches what he practiced, obviously, for a long period of time there. What is staggering, this is 3 days before his 32nd birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do we think about the long sleeve? Do you think that sort of lessens the authority a little bit of the umpires coming in?
What do you mean? It looks like a laboratory student. Yeah, it's not a great look. It makes him look like a soccer ref.
Didn't really catch on, I don't think, for too long.
So just see that mud over the back, Nick? That got incredibly sticky. And when it got on your hands or the ball, they tended to stick as long as no rain fell. Anthony Condon is confined to the back line by now. He had injuries that stopped him being the enormous athlete that he was.
So he could have been a midfielder, too.
Oh, he was a midfielder. 89 grand final. He was our ruck rover. Yeah. And people talk about, ruck rovers are getting bigger now. Condon was a true 6'2" beast of a ruck rover.
Steve Crediak, we saw there, he could be next in line if Tony Campbell can't get the job done. There's the numbers. Those players played so many games together.
Just to talk about Condon, we'll wait on this one. I'll tell you how good he was as an athlete. It's a push going on there. A little bit of high contact by Campbell, just while he goes back for his kick. Anthony Condon once, without any training, he was doing pre-season training and rolled just for something to do for a bit of fitness in that Elwood triathlon. And there's a couple of thousand people in it, world-class athletes. He came 16th.
Impressive.
Oh, see, you could...
Just a beast.
Oh, just fitness, swimming, natural swimmer.
So already 2 goals. This for an incredible start for Jason Dunstall, right through the middle.
He's had 4 shots.
Yeah, 3 goals already. And we've got him on the line.
Oh.
And he's just sitting at home
in the kitchen,
watching himself.
Chiefy.
Hello, gents. How are we?
We're good, Bung. We're watching you. You've given us... Well, you've had one gimme from the officer in white there. That was no free, but you got that. But a couple of good leads, Pig. A couple of little bending arcs around into the pockets.
Always a couple of pockets of space to lead into, particularly out at Waverley. It was always a great ground to play.
Jace, I got to admit, I'm a little bit disappointed because I can't remember you looking like this exactly. I was expecting the big flowing locks coming out from full forward.
To go, really, unfortunately.
Is this about
down, my friend?
So 96 was the tipping point, was it?
It was still hanging on to that little bit at the front.
That was the worries of captaincy, mate, when the team's just starting to hit a down spiral.
And we see your big mate Fish. You played with him there. He was an incredible ruckman, wasn't he? He was not hamstrung, but anchored to full forward for much of his career at Essendon.
Yeah, particularly in the early days, he loved playing ruck, and he was a great pickup for us too, because I think we only had him for 4 or 5 years, but he won a couple of best and fairest. He was brilliant.
Jace, what were your memories sort of this time of your career? Like, as we said, you're about to turn 32, so how would you say you were in terms of at your peak?
Oh, pretty much like everything else, Hutto, on the way down.
Could you be serious in answering that? Like, had you diminished a little bit, or were you still at most things pretty good?
Oh, look, I was okay, but there's a little bit of wear and tear starts to kick in.
Your pace was still all right, but you just didn't have that sort of sideways movement because of the knee injuries, didn't you?
Yeah, and I couldn't jump either, which made life a little bit tough. So getting on the bike was about the only thing I could do.
Are you saying you jumped in the early years?
Oh, mate, I took some hangers. Don't worry about that.
Oh, well, I can't quite remember that.
What about showing up to Waverley on a night like tonight, where it looks, at least watching it back on TV, like it's wet, it's going to be inclement type conditions, and you've come out and kicked 3 early ones. Did you savour these conditions more than the dry, or you just got lucky tonight?
You always, first thing when you got up in the morning was look at the weather. And for a night game, you'd follow it all day. Now, there was a lot of mud out there, but it actually became a reasonably clean night. So there was no rain. It wasn't slippery. It was actually quite sticky. So I was effectively playing in dry football, which was nice.
Yeah, it got sticky with that mud on the ball. There's a good kick going into the full forward line here. Big mark being taken. No, drop. Hey, can I ask you, Tony Campbell's playing on you. You've kicked 3 goals, 1 at this point in time. He played on you when he was at Melbourne and did reasonably well. How long did you roughly remember having him for this night, and had things changed in his game that assisted you?
No, it was funny, Dan, because he got me at the end of 1990, I think it was, when I was coming back to the fractured skull. We played him in the last round of the season, and then again in the first week of the finals in an elimination. And he got me 2 weeks in a row. And I remember leading into this game, Judgy just walked by me and said, because Tony Campbell had moved to Footscray, saying, word coming out of the Western Oval is TC thinks he's got you. I said, okay, and he was gone by quarter time, my friend.
So you're a bit fortunate. You're very fortunate, though, that Zeno Zatzaris wasn't playing that night.
Oh, mate, Zeno, just another stat derm, you know that?
Hey, Jace, is it true that you caught up with the coach of the opposition on the night of this match afterwards?
Did I catch up with Plough? That may well have been the case. I may have caught up with him for a beer, quite possibly. I can't remember, though. It's so long ago.
I did speak to Plough during the week, and he said you came to his place for dinner. Of course, you'd played together for a long time, and you greeted him with, how's the coaching caper going?
He's a tough game, coach, isn't it?
Hey, Chief, were you the type of player that would have given Tony Campbell a send-off at quarter time?
Didn't say a word, really. Never said a word out in the ground. I couldn't see the point, and I didn't have the energy to waste, mate.
Is that true, Derm?
No, there were a few other chatters around the Chief. He didn't have to do much verbals, yeah. We're coming back to you later, though, Pig.
All right. Call me when I've got a handful, will you?
We might have to wait too long.
Hey, just quickly, as we let you go, we just saw Condon on screen. I was just telling Nick and Anthony how good a player he was and how good an athlete.
Oh, absolutely he was. He was, and tough as nails. Didn't mind giving a clip out if one needed to be given as well. Loved it in and under, could find space, and didn't look a pretty kick, but always got it where he wanted it to go.
We got Paul Hudson with the ball now.
Get out of the 50, Hutto. Get out of my area.
All right, Jace, we'll check in with you later. Here's Paul Hudson. He was known as a very accurate kick, but having a few troubles at the moment. He tugs this one away to the left.
Oh, see, Chief, he jumped for the ball over the line, yeah. He jumped. Oh, Leon Cameron. Look at Leon Cameron.
Look at the tights on Leon. Oh. They got down to his knees.
I was talking to Wayne Carey, and he's talking about how he kicked the double figures against Bulldogs. He played on him.
Leon Cameron.
He played on Leon Cameron that day.
He only played 8 games in this year, so...
Yeah, he had awful injuries. He was an anomaly. Most players who get a dreadful run of outs because of injuries consecutive years running, you never tend to come back from those and play great footy, but Leon Cameron did when he went to Richmond. Yeah. He dropped the injury. We still played with them, and he's paying for them now.
Yeah, that's true. 84 games with Richmond, 172 for the Bulldogs. All in all, just over 250 games, Leon Cameron.
Super player. Smithy.
Under pressure, hooks it away off their boot, and then well judged by Kapler. He's one of those players who had that beautiful long left foot, bit Mark Bayes style about him.
He could kick the cover off it, Caps.
Pritchard.
Beautiful kick to a lead. Yeah, see the understanding there? Oh, Pig, hang on to it, will you? If you're going to put it like that, you've got to at least take him.
Crediuk's on him already, so they've made the move.
It won't be Crediuk. Crediuk was a little small. He would have just been giving coverage at that stage.
All right, well...
Crediuk's your size, hello?
He ended up playing on blokes like Lloyd.
Yeah, it is 6'1", Crediuk, so he probably has gone to him.
Oh,
50.
Graham's gone down.
Was that
Darcy? That was Darcy.
East Luke Darcy.
Oh, dirty. He was a dirty player, Luke Darcy.
I like Darcy. Hang on. So he's landed, 1, 2. Landed, taken the mark, landed and taken 2 steps. Shuffle steps, I might add. Darcy, we'll have a memo sent out about that.
Switches on from Graham out to Collins, who could run out of defence.
He's known as the little big man.
And there's gloves everywhere at this period of time. Tony Campbell, he kind of initiated, as you said, he had the glove business. And
some of us went for the Michael Jackson look, just one glove at a time.
He's got the double glove, has he?
Yeah.
So Scotty Wind, double glove.
Yeah. Nick Holland is playing centre forward at the moment, just takes the ruck and allows Salmon to sit down the line. So expect this to go up to Salmon.
Did you wear a glove at any stage?
One glove, yeah. I did the Michael Jackson.
On your left hand?
Left hand, yeah. Because your right hand was the drop.
And it affected your drop?
Yeah.
Off to Crawford, who kicks out to Harford. He's got both the gloves on.
I had the compound fracture in 08, so I had to wear a glove for 6 weeks on the kicking hand.
Yeah.
And I had trouble with the drop at the best of times. Wearing a glove got in the way.
Beautifully disguised kick from Daniel Harford.
Well, I reckon that's better than disguised, Hunter. That had all the appearances of somebody who changed.
Clever.
2 steps from delivery. Yeah. Pig not letting the youngster in his first season have a crack at a goal. He's me time there.
He's warming up, Hutto.
He's only warming up.
Getting ready to launch here, Derm.
So 3 goals for Dunstall. Crediuk stands the mark.
It is Critter. Critter's on him.
He's on him. And that's straight through the middle.
So we have a look at Dunstall's overall record, and then you put them as to where their best venue was. Jason Dunstall, out of his super tally at the end of his career, kicked 565 goals at Waverley Park. He was kicking it over 5 a game. That's Hudson-esque.
Yep.
Peter Hudson-esque.
So that's 113 games he played for those 565 goals. Mind you, he scored 177 goals at the MCG from just 35 games, so he wasn't too bad there.
Yeah,
that's an amazing stat, this one here.
The 3 grounds he did well were the MCG, Waverley, obviously, and Princes Park.
Yes, he had great numbers at Princes Park. So there's the 7 or more goals in a game list. Plugger 74.
Staggering.
Gordon Coventry 63 and Dunstall 58.
Because, I mean, comparative today, seven's a massive bag.
Huge.
Today.
It's a domination in today's game.
4 or 5's a bag.
Well, in those days...
What was a bag back then?
4, if you were a full forward, you basically played only inside forward 50.
Yep.
You might occasionally get out. You wanted to break even for your team. You wanted 1 a quarter.
Yep.
So you sort of, I've held my spot. I've done all right. 4 a game. 5, you've won your spot. 6, yeah, well done. 7, you're starting to get into the bag.
So Harford inside 50. The Hawks on the move, and he changes it up. Goes for Hargraves instead of for Dunstall. And he'll get a shot for goal.
Famous story about the I suppose the culture of the club. Timmy Hargraves, who you're seeing on screen now, fantastic young man, and cleared his mouth in the rooms inside the gym once and spat on the ground, which some players do at footy clubs, and somebody comes along and cleans it. Gary Ayres made him go back there and clean it up himself. Just as a senior player said, this is our club rooms, you don't do that here. So leadership and that type of situation. A young kid coming in, fantastic young man. You would have seen it at local footy clubs, concrete floors. Yeah, something's in my mouth.
Did he ask him to clean it up, or did he have him up against the wall?
Just told him to clean it up.
Right.
Politely,
I've
nicely.
heard that version with a bit more mayo on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the Dogs playing it short out of defence, still goalless in this first quarter.
Leon
Cameron, 115 games at this stage, as you can see.
Low hairline, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Like Jonathan Brown, if he frowns, his hairline will touch his eyebrows.
There's Mitch Wallace. Steve Wallace, I should say. Mitch Wallace's dad.
Yeah, played State of Origin footy with Stevie.
Yeah. Back out to the wing.
He was a fantastic player, Steve Wallace.
Nigel Callett came burning through in the number 4, but couldn't take the footy with him. It's over the line and out of bounds. 9 seasons for 101 games, Nigel Callett. This is his second last season. Steve Wallace, his career, along with Mark Hunter, came to an end in 1996. A couple of other handy players. Gary Ablett Sr., Mark Thompson, Roger the Dodger Merritt, Justin Madden, Derek Kickett.
Paul Deere, Pumpkinhead.
Who was the better player of the Deere boys?
Remarkably, they were totally different players.
Yep.
One was a forward / undersized, under height ruckman, and the other was a ruckman and a ruckman. Yeah, so
Greg
totally
probably had the longer career in terms
Yep.
of distinguished career, but
Yep.
Paul obviously had that fantastic grand final in 1991.
Just got a view of Chief's leap there. He wouldn't have jumped over it.
Jammed in.
I would have said a cigarette paper.
So the Dogs punching up off half back, and here is Todd Curley. He wobbles one to half forward. Hargraves, this was the year. In fact, he had 31 goals at this stage for the year, and he ended with 36. So
good hands.
Is that Grigic?
It's Ilya Grigic on the ground. 4 years at the Dogs for 62 games, Ilya Grigic. He kicked 6 against North in round 22, 1993. So he had a few big days out, Big Ilya.
Got a bit of Michael Gardner about
He
him.
has, yes, he definitely has.
Very square shoulders, big man.
Got that scary look in his eyes too.
Yeah, that Croatian background will do it to you. He's got those weird eyes.
Couldn't have pulled the socks up much higher than what they are either.
They're over his knees. Andrew Jarman used to wear his socks over his knees.
So Big Ilya Grigic from the tightest of angles. Nice looking kick, but just the wrong side of the post.
Good strike.
Even in 1995, the year before this game, he'd had a little run of 23 goals in 7 weeks. So
He could play,
yeah,
Ilya Grigic.
as a ruckman forward, it looked like he might have been one of the few ruckmen that could really be damaging.
The ruckman forward was a different position then too, wasn't it? Because the demands on a forward weren't like they are today, where you've got to join in with team defence and you've got to tackle. And
you got to rest.
Yep.
So I suppose one of the best you could think of as a ruckman forward to come along would have been Nathan Thompson.
Sure.
He was a tremendous ruckman, but just in his own right, a brilliant, capable key forward.
Holland brings it to ground, almost for Hargraves. There's Crediuk versus Hudson.
Oh,
He grabbed him.
That could be the dirtiest thing Hutto's ever done in his not career, life. Very fair player.
Gee, Chris Grant over the top. He took a huge spill.
Oh, well done, Jono. Little champ.
Probably didn't really need to juggle that, did he, Jono?
Oh, look. He's got a little off-the-shoulder number happening at the moment, Jono.
Into Brad Wirra. Browning's still struggling a little bit.
He used to play against Nick Holland a bit.
Yes.
As a centre half-back.
Kick goes just beyond the centre, getting close to quarter time. It's been the Jason Dunstall show here. Tony Woods in the 30 for Hawthorn. Chick, and Rowan Smith takes the mark. So quarter time at Waverley. Jason Dunstall's on his way, 4-3, 27 to 2 behind. And of course, just getting things started at the moment.
It's looking at that scoreline, we're applying it to today's standards, and it seems like it's going to be a blowout. But you feel like the Doggies are kind of in the game at the moment. They're just not getting it inside deep forward 50 well enough. But they're leading up, marking up, and getting enough of the ball.
Well, Jason Dunstall, one of the greats of our game, and Shane Warne is one of cricket's greats, and we can't wait for Warney Week, which is coming up next week. We're going to go right through his career
the
on
King.
Fox Cricket.
I don't know about you blokes, but I can't bear losing a game like that. Look, fantastic effort. But what does a fantastic effort mean? It doesn't get us anything. We don't get diddly squat. We don't get a point. They don't give us something just for getting close. It If you can think that I'm going to be happy walking into this room when we get beaten still, we can't be. We just can't accept it. I don't know about you guys. Like, if I see one bloke walk out of here getting a pat on the back from people out there for a good effort, I'll spew up.
Before the days of The Last Dance, actually shot in the year we're in right now. That was about a month before Michael Cordell with The Year of the Dogs, a great documentary as Terry Walters took over as coach of the Bulldogs, and from Alan Joyce, and great insight there, wasn't it?
Fantastic. It just showed a different application, a different want and desire for success. So Jono's moved into the centre for the Doggies here. First bounce, second quarter.
And straight away, the Dogs go forward, and Jason Watts kicks the goal.
What's he?
You need to time those messages, the Terry Wallace one that we just heard, because if you can't roll that sort of stuff out every week. Otherwise, you just lose. You lose the impact, don't you?
Yeah.
And the group's got to be ready for that message of, okay, we actually are good enough now to stop just giving great effort and win games of footy. So, and it was clear then the trajectory they went on showed they were ready.
Yeah, they were getting close to, as I said before, to beating some of the top teams, and that, I guess, was the thrust of it.
As a young player, Jono was fantastic then. In the centre circle, ran to the wing, and then came back inboard with the ball. He was the one who kicked it inside forward 50.
So early in the second quarter, and the Bulldogs have a goal on the board, and here's Shane Crawford. We haven't seen a lot of him yet, but he goes long with a searching kick for Dunstall. Creddy by his side. Dunstall handballs to Hudson.
I dare say, on a dry day when the ball's not wet and you can angle a bit of spin, that's the kind of snap that Paul Hudson could put bend on the ball and get that coming back.
Beautifully skilled player. We had him down at St Kilda for a number of years as an assistant coach. We did a lot of work with players in the skill part of the game.
So there, Crawford made the All-Australian team in 1996.
So Dunstall kicks 101 this year.
Yeah.
Now, he's not there. So Dunstall kicks 101 this year in 96. Stewie Lowe kicks 90, and both of them didn't make the All-Australian.
90 from centre half forward, or was he playing more?
No, he probably was playing a little bit deeper. I think Plugger was in Sydney, but Jason Heatley was. Would have been at St Kilda, who played a little bit deeper. So Lowe and Dunstall 101 and 90 each, and didn't make it in.
Well, you look at the other key forwards. Mitchell White's on the half-forward flank. Matty Richardson's named on the bench.
Dunstall's got it again.
And I've got a feeling Big Tony might have kicked more than 101.
Tony kicked 114. There we go. So here's the list. So Carey was in there at centre-half forward. I mean, the Roos made the grand final, won the flag, and he was the captain. So clearly he gets in. But Lowe 90 and Dunstall 101 and don't get in. They're stiff.
Is Lowy dirty on that?
I reckon he would be. I'll find out. I'm going to text him right now, actually. Mitchell White played forward from at least round 4 based on the stats. He kicked 37 for the year, and he's on a half-forward flank.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Oh, well.
He's a good player, Mitchell White.
Dunstall wobbles this one, and it's got through. Not his best ever kick, but he's got 5 goals already early in the second quarter.
Goals aren't the only measure of getting into a team, but gee whiz, 100 and you don't get into the All-Australian team.
Yeah.
They were fairly commonplace back then.
So the Hawks trying to wind up off the wing. Taylor tried to step inside Liberatore. That's not an easy thing to do.
To see that, he did not get swung in the full 360 degrees of the tackle, yet the umpire called holding the ball.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I like that.
Langford thrashes it back through the middle. Bulldogs have got some good numbers. We're he rode the high tackle. He's going to get a free kick.
He'd have killed him a few years later, Chicky. Chick would have killed him a few years later. When you feel that confidence in your body and more size on.
Yeah. He blossomed, I reckon, not the next year, maybe the year after, when he became a physical. He was a beast also.
Had all his fingers at this stage too, don't you?
Yes, he did. There's a little wee man, Crawford. This is prior to him discovering what it was to go and get your hair tipped.
Do you play with Crawf?
Funny enough, I only played some reserves games with Crawf.
Johnson getting plenty of the footy right now. Pumps it deep. Big Ilya well behind. Watts was in front, but Salmon taking the mark.
6'10" and the arm extended. Watts isn't going to jump over that sort of reach.
Chris Langford, who's, of course, this I think was his second year he was
living in Sydney. He actually wanted to retire. He told the club, I'd like to retire, and they talked him into keeping on because they felt that they were too young down back.
Yep.
And they said, well, we'll let you train with, I think it was North Shore, and just play with us on the weekends.
Crawford jumps in and he hits the post.
Yeah, so they understood where they were at. They were not ready to move into life without 6'4.5", 6'5" Chris Langford as their key defender. Mark Graham wasn't up to it at that stage physically.
We heard a little bit during the week about Jason Ackermanis essentially being described as a consultant. So he was Chris Langford. He was the ultimate consultant in this situation.
But they had a track record of him being at the club since he was, 15 years of age.
Right to Quill, to Crediak, who's up the ground there. Gets the hip pass over the top. Taylor charging through. Back to Collins. And now Nick Holland. Pritchard. Oh,
Pritch run on the way down.
One to go on with.
Mark Graham spins the wheels.
Left foot kick.
Not a great kick.
He was up early, but Chris Grant, who had an outstanding season, I think just missed out on the Brownlow medal. In the last round, Essendon got over the Bulldogs by 3 points, and Hurd got the 3 and Grant got the 2, and you wonder if the Dogs had won, it might have been the other way around.
Well, strangely enough, he's playing on Nick Holland tonight. The year Chris Grant won the Brownlow medal, but was not qualified because of suspension. He was also playing on Nick Holland when he got reported.
That's true. And of course, this was Grant was out of contract, and Port Adelaide were coming in, and they were heavily into Chris Grant. So there was a fair bit going on with the Bulldogs, and there's some interference there, is there?
Yeah, Crummell fell into the back. I think it's Watts playing in front.
Jason Watts, 5 years, 57 games, 51 goals.
He played that pretty well, didn't he? It's a free kick. No problem with that. Fell into his back after it. And there's Steve Collingwood. Number 2.
So in this year, Jason Watts, 44 goals in 20 games. He's lining up for his second. To keep the Bulldogs in this contest.
Oh, breaks the knee.
Yep.
Pulls the foot back, almost like hits it and recoils away from it.
He's put it through, and at this stage, Watts and Dunstall have kicked all the goals in the game. It's all 7 of them. Taylor tries to get things going, and he does, in fact, emerge with the footy. Ramiro still tagging Crawford. The ball goes beyond those 2, out to Hudson. Ramiro. He spins around. He
was not giving the ball off then, Hutto.
He saw the sticks.
Once he broke that tackle, he thought, I could creep to within scoring range here.
Smith goes long for Hargraves.
Good pack. Oh, he's a little stiff not to get one high there.
High though, yeah.
Scotty Wine, long-time captain for the Bulldogs.
See the size of Salmon then, just being able to hold up against Wine, who gets in under his shoulder and tries to move him out of the way a bit.
Hargraves again.
Oh, hang on.
Haven't seen Jason for a little while.
Yeah. Nick Holland went too far back, blocked up his leading.
Almost a throw, not called. Holland goes for... Oh, no, he did centre the ball, I think, to try and find Dunstall. Ramiro jammed it on the boot, but it's only going to hold things up momentarily. Taylor with a scrappy kick. Dunstall feigned a handball, and then off the left boot. Oh, so close to kick. Well done, Chris Grant.
Not a lot of power on the left there by the end of that. Did well to... But those sorts of things, just... Right now, he's looking for the handball. The tackle breaks free, and within 2 steps, he gets the snap away.
It's hard to... It's hard to hit the ball flush in that sort of slot.
Yeah.
So the plant leg, you're never really too sure about your footing.
Free kick goes to Nick Holland.
Not that I played in those sort of conditions all that often, do
No, you wouldn't have.
No, it didn't happen at Etihad too often.
Well, being totally honest, if you walked out onto the surface at Waverley and it was like this, you'd go, yeah, this is reasonable. Back in those days, you got some horrific surfaces on the grounds. Yeah, you'd be half happy with this.
Johnson, long kick to the wing. There's Langford right with Luke Darcy.
Oh, Julio. He went to kick it and big square jawline on him. He had the nickname around the club sometimes, Clutch Cargo. It'd be a cartoon character with the big jaw.
Okay, yeah. Salmon to dash off. Kicks through centre-half back to Condon. Liver did not flinch, so did he?
No, that would be one you'd go to watch. You'd back Condo because of the size, but Liver would not give in. Stevie Lawrence.
Much.
So Lawrence on and kicking it wide. Directed the pass out to Chick. Daniel Chick. Beyond the 50, here comes Dunstall.
Here he is, the pig.
Beautifully timed lead again, and Tony Campbell's back
still there.
I have not watched this game back, but I would say he loves this pocket. Well, I can remember him at Waverley. You know how some pockets you would measure them out, Nick, and you say, no, it's identical to the other one, but some pockets you line up in and you say to yourself, I feel good from this pocket. Yep. I reckon this was a pocket that he liked kicking from.
You can see there the timing on the lead. He just had the defender moving away from the space. First to react. Power.
They're a big pair of shorts, aren't they?
It was a bit of a high short kind of era too, if you have a look at some of the other players. They did have the shorts pulled quite well up.
Skinnied that a bit.
So Durham trying to predict 30
no,
minutes
I
later
thought he
that it was going to be a goal.
I thought he would have got that. He hit it a bit thin, though. He's had a few shots, hasn't he?
Yes, yeah. A bit like Alan Jakovic last night, kicked 11-8 in the match we replayed.
11-8. It's a big day.
You wouldn't have seen much of Jacko, would you?
Not a lot.
He was a sensational player when he was on.
Hargrave again runs straight into trouble.
That's the... Oh, just imagine running into that.
Big unit.
It's like a wall.
Into the tap down. Now Smith, the centre-half forward.
Leckis.
Sized again, yes. Angelo Leckis.
Saw Tony Woods the other day doing hill sprints.
Was he?
Yep. Had the full lycra on.
Why was he doing that for?
He's out trying to get fit. Nothing else to do at the moment, Hutto.
It's either that or play the piano for Woodsy.
Is that right? Is he a musician?
Oh, yeah. He's a very good serenader, apparently.
Comes it deep to full forward.
Pay that umpire. Oh, come on, Hayden.
Is he going to turn around and give him a spray?
Obviously worked on his wife, Sally.
That's it.
He had it, didn't he?
In the mitts. Oh, I thought he had that long enough. He had it longer than the great Gary Ablett had one over Gary Pert.
Now. Hayden Kennedy. Weira scrambled it out of there.
Is that Brad Weira?
Jono.
Come on, Jono.
Play the ball, Jono.
Hamming it up again, Jono, looking for the whistle.
Oh, Lukey McCabe.
So still the days where if you start on the bench, you could sit there for a decent period of time.
The only reason you were coming to the bench was for punishment, for a misdemeanor from your coach's box eyes.
Holland off to Crawford. Oh, Dunstall didn't look like he was ever going to get near there, but he stuck the leg up, didn't he?
Oh. See, Critter, he's just knocked Chicky to the ground there. Yeah, Critter had a bit of go. Remember, he kept trying to punch Matty Lloyd's
when he had the broken
that time.
Right. Yep.
Hawthorn coach's box had Ken Judge and Peter Schwab in there. Georgie Stone as well. Oh, come on, Jono. One touch, mate. Beautifully done.
Kicks to centre-half forward. Almost for Salmon. Hargrave's got it.
Oh, fish.
Great effort from the big
That
guy.
is super.
Now Condon trying to find a good piece of land to get a kick away. In the end, he handballs.
To the ground. He'll get it back here.
Now he could go for home. Holland. Grant stays in.
He's playing a game, Chris Grant. Look at that on the left.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, this would be a good battle. Crawford and Johnson.
Crawford just dispatches Johnson there.
You watch Crawford run on. I don't know if he'll get it, but he just keeps running. There he is. He's in on it.
Kapler copping it as a free kick.
That's the ability of Crawford. I know he doesn't have the ball now, but his ability and want to just keep following the ball was extreme.
Oh, Dunstall's got it again.
Got TC again too.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, that is, if ever I had to describe Jason Dunstall at his absolute best, this is the play. Works out the drop of the ball to one hip, half fends off with an arm, but the body, he was a chunky, powerful body, and he just protected the drop and just marked it on his chest to that side. That's Jason Dunstall to a T, and he was brilliant at it.
So he's looking for goal number 6. And the lead into this game, he kicked 3, 3, 5 and 4. And he's got 6 before half-time. Well, we're watching a big match out at Waverley, and one of the famous events, of course, was the night the lights went out.
Yeah.
So Malcolm Blight,
commentator,
was commentating. He had his cigarette lighter.
Oh, of course he did. He always had a backup cigarette lighter too.
So commentating this year, was that 96 when this happened?
He's calling this game actually, Blight.
And then won the next 2 flags.
Yep.
Yeah.
Straight out of the commentary box.
Yep. So they came back and finished it midweek, that game.
I remember they had to come back during the week.
Yeah,
and even when the game was abandoned, I mean, there were some rogues and the supporters, St Kilda and Essendon, who snapped the posts and set fire to them, and it looked like mayhem, but they were just disappointed they didn't see the end of the game. But it was an extraordinary circumstance.
Actually, Blighty will probably be watching this game. He'll be dirty that we're re-commentating over the game rather than having his
voice. He was actually. I thought he was a fantastic commentator. Yeah. He gave you some really good insights what it was in, because his understanding and knowledge of footy was just extreme, and still is.
Holland from around the corner in the pocket, not a bad shot. Oh,
Dunstall. Oh, shepherd it, pig. That's why your teammates hate you.
Oh, gee. You've gone close to the bone there.
That escalated, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know, you do all these things and you wrap him up, and then he goes and does something like that and pretends to be a team player thereafter. Come on, pig.
Liberatore and Ramiro, what a combination they were. They terrorised a few opposition.
Oh, mark that.
Crawford.
He did.
That could be the best mark of Shane's career.
Off the left boot. That's going to be paid to Taylor.
He's trying to milk a 50 here, little Richie.
Back through the middle. Salmon.
Giving each other a bit of space, the ruckman, aren't they? Oh, pig.
Dunstall can't. Campbell.
Well. Look, that is brilliant.
Strong.
That is just power over the footy then. He swung the boot. But that is brilliant. That is Jason Dunstall to a T. The ability to keep his feet, power over the football, get him buffeted, banged around, and just stays over the footy.
6-9 plays 2-2.
Jono.
Just got the clearing kick. Ramiro staying close to Crawford. He just soccers it with a little bit of science about it. Condon tries the same.
Less science.
Off the instep. Hudson.
So, Dern, back 96 and earlier, if you were coming up against a team that had a full forward like Dunstall or an Ablett or Lockett, how did you actually go about preparing for them? Because the obvious thing to sit back now and look at and say, well, why didn't teams just sit one loose inside the 50 if you knew that was the most likely way they were going to beat you?
That was the most extreme case of it, to sit one loose inside the 50. That was really going overboard. What you would do would be you'd set somebody during the week and you'd train them applicably for the skill set that the full forward they were coming up against had. You'd set them for it emotionally, mentally, physically, and you'd have somebody in second place to take over. But the most you do would be put one in front of them.
This was the year that flooding started to come in. Rocket sort of started it, and then others followed as time went on. But you can see here it's still largely a one-on-one game, isn't it?
We did a game that '94 game where Sydney played St Kilda and Pluckett kicked 11, and it was Kickett that went back as almost an extra in the defensive 50. But, but still, it begs the question, what... Yeah, I guess it was just too big a break from what was seen as the normal way to play the game.
I was at Sydney that year, and I didn't play many games, but completely the wrong player to put back too. Derek was a creative player who was brave enough in his own way, but bravery standing in front of Plugger was not going to do that. You needed somebody, a Mickey Werner or someone like that, just to plug up a bit of space. He would have been probably 19th chosen out of the 20 on the ground. I would have selected to play in front of him.
Holland goes long and again just falls short. Hargreaves keeps it in, and then Chick, Graham, an opportunity. Back to Chick from the pocket. Well, it's all Bulldogs there. And Michael Martin takes the mark.
You yet to see the makings of the Daniel Chick, the evolution of him as a player, which was just that. Oh, Crawford, he's going well overhead, which Chick was brilliant at being an athlete, running around the ground with power. He's trying to be a bit of a goal sneak type forward here.
Interesting little combination there. Hard to get a decent hold to have a shot for goal, as Hargrave found out. And Nick Holland gets dispatched with, and that takes us to half-time in this one. So Jason Dunstall on his way. He's on his way to a big bag. 6-9-45 to 2-2-14.
Oh, lovely, Jason.
And Fox Footy Live continues Monday night with the AFL 360 and On the Couch editions. Jared and Robbo back to bring you all the latest. Speak to the coaches, who's going to be next up.
You're watching Super Saturday on Fox. Halftime, brought to you by Jim Beam. You're watching Super Saturday on Fox. Halftime, brought to you by Jim Beam.
Welcome back to Super Saturday, and our Jim Beam teammate moment involves none other than a babyface Brad Johnson. In his third season at the Bulldogs, of course, he will go on to become the Bulldogs games record holder and one of our absolute favourites here at Fox Footy. Jono setting up the Dogs' first goal. They have had a fair bit of trouble with another Fox Footy star today, Jason Dunstall, playing a brilliant game for Hawthorn. Welcome back to Super Saturday. This is our halftime show with thanks to Jim Beam, and well, he's playing well, Jace, isn't he? He's kicked Hawthorn's entire goal score.
6 goals. He's given his best mate Terry Wallace in the opposition coach's box. I mean, he's had Tony Campbell on him. He moved Tony Campbell off him and put Creditor onto him, Steve Creditor. Now he's got Campbell back on him already before half-time.
That was a great story you told about him going around there for dinner. I can totally imagine Jason walking in, asking how he was enjoying the coaching caper.
This is his power.
And this is with thanks to Zero Turn.
Yeah, look, you look at him, such a smart player. See, I mean, with all, and I know I muck around with Jason, but with all due respect, he's like the Alan Border of goal kickers. There is nothing too flamboyant about the way he played. So he edge under his opponent under it, takes a mark where he's just sort of a little jump off the ground, or protects the drop, marks it, or he gets on the lead and gets a spearing pass and marks on the lead. There's nothing Gary Ablett flamboyant. Yeah. Well, there's no other Gary Ablett, I might admit, but everything was predictable. You could look up the ground with the ball and go, right, which way do I kick it? Which side do I kick it? He's coming at me. I know he likes to bend that way, so I'm looking this way, and then I'll go. And you could predict what he was going to do, and you got a relationship with him. He was a fantastic player and very easy to communicate with out on the ground.
There's a subtlety in his brilliance, and also the way we watch the game back throughout Jason's whole career is a lot of the work he did that got himself free, and a lot of his brilliance was done off camera.
Yeah, completely off camera.
The end result you see is Jason 5 metres clear marking the ball on his chest. Yeah. I mean, he won a lot of great one-on-ones as well, but it's almost hard to fully appreciate the brilliance without we've got behind the goals now. Yeah. We've got 6 cameras at all different angles that we lab things up, and it looks brilliant. Well, but back then, he just got a shot of him marking the ball and his defender trailing him in.
We will check in with Jason in the third term and see how he sees the rest of his game unfolding. This is Big bag week on Fox Footy. It will continue after this with cousin Jack kicking a bag in 2010, 10 goals against West Coast. He'd win one of his 3 Coleman medals that year, Nick. So a pretty impressive performance from Jack coming up. What's your biggest bag, Derm?
In the absence of Jason, no, true. We never really kicked too many bags together. I think 10 times in the career we played together, he kicked 10 or more. 5 of them were against bottom 3 teams, and the other couple were circumstances, whatever. We never really kicked bags together. So he was out injured once. I played at full forward, was a bit sore, and kicked 11 against Richmond. But most teams kicked a few against Richmond those years.
What about you, Nick? I remember being at a game where you're playing Melbourne and you kicked 9, I think.
Yeah, never got the double figures, Derm. Played up the ground a bit like yourself, but that was probably the biggest day I had, the 9
26 disposals is pretty
good
handy.
kicking. You could have got to 10.
Could have got to 10. 21 marks up the ground, Derm. So I was getting up, helping out the defence.
The one you missed, should have you kicked it in hindsight?
It was the last shot I had, and I hit the post from about 45 on a bit of an angle. So I had the shot for 10 and hit the post. And I can't. So I got 9 3 times. Never
9.5.
9. Yeah, that's right. Never got the double figures though.
It is good fun. There's not too many things we love more in footy than seeing a forward kick a big bag of goals. And Hutto, we're going to leave it to you to call the rest of the action and get Jason home to that 14th.
I hope you're not going to leave it just to me. I think
I'll send the boys back.
and Nick are coming back for the 3rd quarter, which is underway at Waverley on a cold August night in 1996. Jason Dunstall with 6, and we're anticipating plenty more where they've come from in this game. Can the Doggies make a contest of it? Ball on the logo out on that outer side with Hayden Kennedy, Gavin Dorr and Kieran Nichols. The 3 umpires in the long sleeves. Wind over the top, Liberatore. Collingwood sneaks through. Then had the handball out to Wirra. And Darcy versus Harford. Hard to keep your footing in those circumstances. Taylor to half forward. Quill chasing it down. Trying to get the Dogs moving. They've
good run.
Yeah, good run, good sharing. Rowan Smith really only knew one way. Run and kick it long to Watts, and he might have a free kick or the mark.
Bit of both.
It's a 2-man show at the moment.
Yeah.
One a little bit more than the other.
I'm sure Jason will be happy with that. It's the Jason Watson, Jason Dunstall show. The 2 Jasons are going nuts at Waverley. I reckon Jason wants to be pretty happy.
Bit of Ablett salmon about this.
Yeah, probably hasn't been in the spotlight on a Saturday afternoon around the nation for quite a while, Jason Watts. But
I hope he's got some friends calling him at the moment saying, "We're watching you, Watsy."
So that 11-2 you kicked, Derm, that we just spoke about. What was Jace out with at that stage?
Personality, something like that. Yeah. Torn shorts.
Come on. Did you take that opportunity to let everyone know that it's not that difficult, or?
Well, Nick, I played at full forward for Hawthorn 5 times and kicked 35 goals.
Well, there you go.
It's not that hard to play there.
Average 7, average a bag a week.
Yeah.
So Brad Johnson has just been a beneficiary there of a kick in from Brendan Crummell right down his throat.
Oh, I wouldn't be trying to mess up Ilya Grigic. I wouldn't be trying to get under his skin.
Swabby didn't like it.
Just practicing for future years.
Jono a bit awkwardly kicks a goal and it goes left.
Big Langers wasn't a short kick in from full back. He'd probably make a liar of me now. But he used to give the ball to Chris when you wanted to get it way outside 50. Oh, with Crummell now. I thought that was Langford going over. Must have handed it to Crummell. They've tended to on this night give the ball more often than not to Brendan Crummell.
Finds Salmon, who's paid the mark at half, and Darcy's unhappy again.
Somebody called Das as well and let him know this is his grumpy night. He spent more time arguing with the umpire.
Salmon kicks to the wing. half it. Quite get the judgment
Stevie
right.
Lawrence, number 12 there.
Yep.
He was a brilliant player in the 1991 final series. We have a look at that, the rising star players for 96.
Fair list.
Yeah, so Das was one of
Matty
those.
Lloyd. Ben Cousins, Matty Lloyd, Adam Simpson, Peter Bell, Shannon Grant, Matty Primus.
Johnson versus Woods. Tried for one soccer too many, then Jono cops it from Chick. It's
We didn't get the voting numbers that year. So 97 was the first year they introduced the actual count, the votes for the Rising Star. Yeah.
Steve Crediuk there on screen. Yeah, that was interesting that night, wasn't it, when Lloyd came out with the glove and Crediuk kept trying. He said, well, if you're declaring yourself fit, you should be able to cop a whack to the head.
Oh, he's a Das again.
Oh, very good, Das.
That's fantastic. We could put a little compilation together.
The little arm flap.
And the sound effect.
Yeah, a little bit of, what is it, Sergeant Schultz from... Yeah, Stevie Lawrence had an incredible 1991, and he was the best ruckman of the 91 final series as well, which went a long way to Hawthorn winning the premiership that year.
Alan Smith to give, and no doubt to get back.
Stephen, his father open bowled for South Africa.
That's true.
Stevie Lawrence, Godfrey Lawrence. So Stevie was a first-generation Australian. His father being South African. Yeah, opening bowler for the South African team.
Wallace juggled the mark, plays on with Johnson, and now Collingwood. Dogs on the move out wide, looking for Martin. Lekis there. He tried to turn him inside out. He just couldn't get away. Good persistence by Lekis.
Oh, see Collins keep his head down. He was never going to run off the line there. We loved Andy Collins. Watch Das. Watch him flap the arms. Yeah, and now again.
Mark Jackson about that almost.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
A handstand. Oh, here he is again. Big tackle from Das.
He'll want holding the ball there.
Collins escapes. Kicks Hawthorn forward.
Great kick.
Oh, that's nice. Dunstall.
Surely Dunstall on the move. Out in the pocket.
Oh, he snaggled this.
No.
Oh.
He might want to
get it back.
Yeah.
Oh, the double play from the pig.
He's on his wrong side to have a shot for goals, so the centre kick is to Pritchard.
Pritchard. Oh, I loved Pritchard as a kid.
Pritchard probably gave him 200 goals in his career. That's the one back.
Yep.
It was a very accurate floater pass, that one. Watch this kick. It floats like a mung. Look at that.
Good Tassie man, obviously Darren Pritchard. I remember going out to North Hobart Oval to watch Pritchard play for Tasmania when they beat the Vics in the State of Origin.
He was captain, wasn't he?
He was.
Did he get all of that?
Not quite.
Not quite, and it comes off the glove of Tony Kemp.
It was a beautiful pass to a leading player, Pritchard. That's the doggies box there. Terry is the coach down in the right-hand corner.
Gary O'Sullivan behind him.
The Bomber Jackets.
Yeah, they were big in that time.
Good with those.
We had them too, yeah. That was that American college look.
Yeah.
It's a big hoof.
Yeah, it is. High ball. Ramiro. Callett. And now Crediuk playing up forward takes the mark. Eyes darting, looking to wait this kick. Well, Collingwood. Callett's kept on running. Watts. Crediuk.
Oh, clever kick. That's a really good kick by Crediuk. Just pulled. Just pulled the kick short there, and you.
Half's for country.
Yeah, if you're down in the comms box at the moment controlling all these shots, you'd be going straight to the Hawthorn coaches box here.
Got him.
Yeah.
Got him.
Got a feeling the late Ken Judge might have been about to get on the phone.
Ken wasn't all that tolerant of that sort of...
No, he wasn't.
Yes.
Were many coaches throughout this period?
Well, on top of that, Ken wasn't tolerant. Yeah. That'll be it. That'll be the call. Yeah.
How good.
Yeah. I don't know what you were like, but sometimes you get to a stage in your career when the when the runner had come out to you, say, hey, off for that, and you'd yell back at the runner, I know. No, I'm not coming off. You'd pull rank on it, but yeah, he's given him the, I think, is that Davey Dunbar on the bench?
We better text Half and see if we can get a response from him. And moving forward, very wide to half forward. It's over and out.
See Langford even then, even at 30. Oh yeah, but at 33 years of age by then, he was 32. He was still quick in straight lines. He was a great 200, 400 metre runner, Chris Langford.
Condon kicks, taken by Rowan Smith. Sends it out wide towards Crediuk versus Pritchard.
Oh, clever again.
Oh, Collingwood just sharp enough to get around. Lawrence, Grickich. Big boys go at it. Collins comes back hard the other way.
Was it Collingwood who, in the dying moments of an MCG game, balked the man on the mark to run around and kick the winning score late in a game at the MCG? I'm sure it was. It was a really, really good piece of play. He had a set shot, but he was about 55 out. Yeah, and he just dodged the man on the mark and got the score that gave him the game. What's in front again, is it? That's one into the face, the mush. Not intentional. Angelo Lekis. Angelo Lekis was another interesting character. You know, there's Shaolin monks?
Yes.
One pre-season, off-season, Angelo Lekis took like a month of his time, that split him open, and went and lived on like grass mats and lived with the Shaolin monks for a month. Yeah, just eating rice and getting hit with sticks each day and things like that. Yeah, he just that's what he did, just learn about life.
Did he went try to become a soccer goalkeeper or something after his footy career?
I know about the Shaolin monks, I don't know about the other stuff.
So Watts comes in, he's got a chance for a third. Oh, he could be the best Jason out there at the moment.
What a mow by the umpire to goalie too. Woof. He's playing well though, isn't he?
Lucky he got to have his kick. When did the blood rule come in?
Thereabouts, a little bit later, I'd say.
He's just got the VAS on the...
Yeah. That totally against the philosophy of Angelo Lekis to try and do anything deliberate. That's completely accidental. But that's a decent gash to the forehead there.
What? And 94, the blood rule came in. 94. So you're right. That's more latitude than you would have expected. Oh, now
Smithy.
Smith.
That'll fire Jono up.
Callett. Sky ball, plenty underneath it. Salmon, the tallest there. The Monk goes after it, and it's over and out.
When I coached the Australian composite rules games, Smithy and Jono and Westy, you have a look at this. He's pinballed here. Crawford's head.
Let's say Crawford the swinging
arms. It was an open hand slap.
Was that what it was?
You only had to call one of them and you know he'd bring the other two. They were inseparable, those two. Oh, those three.
Stevie Wallace. There's a whistle there. Someone's gone down behind plates, downfield.
Yeah, I don't think...
What's Smithy again?
No, I think that's still from the
same one.
Oh, yeah, pull away, Smithy. Francis Burke. He's playing pretty well, Smithy, too. He's giving him some drive off back flank.
Yeah, Callett, deep ball. And
Hebe.
Graham having covered.
Mark Graham, nicknamed Hebe-Jeebe.
Kapler tucks it under the arm. Pumps the kick to half forward. Oh, Smith's recovered remarkably well. The trainers are still out there. They can't get out of the way. Out of the way, boys. Curley. Lawrence with the fist. Big Ilya. Here's a chance. No.
Too quick.
Graham gets back there.
Smithy almost.
Ilya. Bang.
Smithy almost created a goal there for the Doggies by having all the trainers around him. It cut Langford's run off.
Luke McCabe, his chance out on the ground now.
Developed into a very, very good long-time back pocket player for the Hawks.
Was back on the farm in South Australia last time I crossed paths with him. Back through the middle of the ground.
There's the little fella.
Crawford, thumping kick.
He's on the way down when it got to him. Oh, that's treacherous, Dunstall.
Took on the biggest man in the field there, didn't he?
He was known for that. He got reported once in his career hitting Rod Ashman. He only took on those that were under 5'9".
I don't know who Rod Ashman is.
He was a champion rover for Carlton. I think he got 1 or 2 weeks for that, and I think Ashley even won the fight.
Crawford, good hand, sends Harford on his way out on the outer wing at Waverley. Wants to use his left foot just to show us that he can.
Been starved here a bit, the pig.
Downfield.
A cheapie.
So Jason trying to get the balls because he can sense there's an opportunity for a bigger bag.
Hayden Kennedy, Knickerbocker Hayden. He's got the ball. Oh, that's trainer Kenny Edwards, just wiping the sweat off Jason there. Kenny was a fireman. Stevie Wallace coming off the ground. Played Teal Cup with Stevie as well, a State of Origin. Yeah, fantastic player.
Had about 10 car yards at one stage, didn't he?
Yeah,
Stevie?
I think he had the Essendon whatever's franchise.
That's it.
Yeah, well, sponsored by Ford Ranger here today.
That was it then. It was the Essendon Ford Rangers. So here's Jason Dunstall. He's been gifted this one.
Now watch how still the ball is. Just a little bit up and then drop.
Got it.
He's got away with that.
He has.
Not his cleanest kick. Just kicked it to the inside a little bit. Yeah,
he's part of the post routine. Was it the nose?
Unslide in the nose.
Bushman's blow.
Oh, mate, if you had nostrils the size of the Burnley tunnel entrance, you'd have to unclot them occasionally too.
He's earned most of them today. That is a gift. Still got to put it through.
You described it earlier, Nick. Very simple action, streamlined, not overly attractive, but it's pure in its form of the mechanics.
And we've got to replay the Bushmans as well.
Do they get the Bushmans on another one?
Well, they got half of it.
Ah, right.
7 out of 7. Jason.
Do we know what the record is for the most
of a team score?
Yeah.
Might go close tonight if he's ends up with his bag. Well done. Play in front. Caps.
On the move again. Hargreaves on the bounce. Dunstall.
Now watch him keep his feet. I haven't seen this, but he'll he goes to ground, makes a liar of me straight away. But Campbell has to fall into him there to bring him down. He's a little bit sore there. That's everything was aching by now. They're so strong over the footy still.
So Hawthorn's lead is 24 points right now.
How old were you when you finished up?
Year before this, 31.
31.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling too good at 32 either. And he's 3 days before his 32nd, so.
Oh, he roved that beautifully there. There was a little halfie again, wasn't it? Yeah. Roved that beautifully.
Has been forgiven by Ken Judge. He's back on the ground.
Yeah. Really clever player, Daniel Harford. I thought his main attribute as a footballer was his ability to understand the game, learn the game, see the game at this level. I thought he was an exceptional student of the game.
Neil's knuckles curly as the boundary rider on this night. Great South Australian football stalwart. He and Teddy used to verbal off against each other.
Jono edged out Croft there.
There's Ramiro.
Yeah, he did. They had some great stoushes there.
Oh,
Langers. He's like the goal umpire in that grand final then.
I think they've cancelled the Logans for this year. It's a bit of a pity because that could be a nomination.
Oh, well done, Langers.
Have a look at this.
It's only Steve Collingwood. Wow.
Tucked him in.
for it, though.
Is he going to have a shot here?
Oh, no doubt.
He wouldn't have kicked many, would he?
He's a bomb of a kick.
Check that. How many you kicked?
As a kid, he was a key forward. Well, he was a huge kick. Oh, he doesn't have to be here. Nice action.
Oh! Do the boys get to him? Surely Dunstall gets out of 50 and goes to celebrate.
No, Dunstall never celebrated anybody else's goals. Big clutch cargo runs all the way back to full back there. Bit of a smile from his long-time partner in crime, Andy Collins.
33 goals in his career. This was his second last goal he ever kicked.
Right. Did he ever do... So we know Silvani occasionally went forward and played as a forward and kicked back. Did he ever do that?
Yeah. He did it against Shawmob one day. The only time I've ever seen, when he was at his peak, Chris Langford, the only time I ever saw him was Tony Lockett got hold of him in a twilight game at the MCG once. Kicked 7 on him, I think, in a half and a bit, and he went forward that day, came down with us, and actually had a pretty good game after half-time. There's the Dunstall trademark again. Leads out, recognises the ball fading to the outside, arcs the lead, and then arches the back and pushes the butt. He almost runs around the drop of the ball and makes Campbell go the long way around to the footy.
Chris Langford hadn't kicked a goal for 3 years before this game, and he kicked 3 goals in 1992 in a game mid-season against Fitzroy. But we're watching Jason Dunstall again, and that's 8 goals. And we can head back to Jason Dunstall, who's just sitting there watching this minute by minute. Just in all his
How you seeing this one, Pig?
Well, I'm seeing the 30 seconds I see when you blokes ring me.
Yeah, right.
As if.
Hold on. What do you got on in the background there? Is that the TV we can see?
Yeah, that's the outside, mate. I got the races on in the background. Got some live sport on.
Oh, yeah, right.
Sell your product that gives you a living, Pig. Now, you're back on TC. He's back on Dunstall watch again now, Tony Campbell. Hang on, hold on. Oh, you've snuck away again. A little. Now, I was describing to the boys here what you were very good at. 4 or 5, 6 paces, dead straight at the ball carrier, and then bend the lead out to a pocket or so.
Yeah, it was a great kick from they legged us off the outside of the boot, so you got to appreciate those as a forward.
Oh, he's not giving us much, is he?
Nothing.
He's not giving us much.
Yeah. Okay, so talk us through the routine. What are you going? Step by step.
Yeah, straight run up, kick through the target, everything nice and simple. They were coming off well this night. I do remember that.
So the thing I was talking to Nick about was you held the ball incredibly still on your approach. Like someone like Malcolm Blight would wave it around a bit and rely on the relationship between the drop and his foot strike. You just held it motionless.
I tried to, but unfortunately I had a high ball drop, which wasn't ideal. That's something I couldn't really correct. So tried to keep everything else nice and steady, nice and still, and keep it all in a straight line. Nice pass, though. You've got to be happy with that as a pass, Rui.
It was beautiful. Outside of the foot, into the space. Hey, we spoke earlier, Jason, about the 1996 All-Australian team. And so I'll just take you through the forward line. So we had James Hird on a flank and Voss in a pocket. So they split the Brownlow, so it's hard to argue there. Carey at centre-half forward, who kicked 75 and was the captain of the premiership team for the year. Tony Lockett at full forward, who kicked 114 for the year. Jarman in a pocket, who we know you rate really, really highly. And then on a half-forward flank was Mitchell White, who kicked 37 goals for the year. You kicked 101 and didn't get in. Were you a little bit stiff?
Well, I don't think they're going to put me on a forward flank, Rui. That might take me slightly out of my comfort zone, mate.
Well, what about you in a pocket and Voss on a flank then? 101 goals, Jason.
They did that, but you know what it's like, mate. They always lean towards the midfielders, squeeze a couple of extra ones in, the grubs.
Were you a little bit dirty? Did you get dirty about those things?
Nah, it didn't bother me, mate. Didn't bother me at all.
I don't believe you.
And Corey McKernan was the All-Australian
Ruckman.
I had a massive year that year, didn't he, Corey? He was on fire.
I remember that year, Jason, there was a lot of the pollsters and scribes saying, who do you pick out of North Melbourne as your key? Is it Carey or is it McKernan? And a lot of them, they were split 50-50 in 96 as to Corey or Wayne.
Well, I think that shows you how good the year was from Corey, because I'd take Duck first time every time.
I think, I don't think there's anyone on earth that has watched a game of footy that doesn't over the entirety of the career. But, yeah, I remember that year he was taking some big pack marks and the likes. But back to you. How are you feeling now? You've got 8. Oh, not right now, but in this game. So you're on 8. You've got a quarter and a half to go. What do you think? Are you thinking, I've got a bag here, or I'm just going to help the team win? I reckon that's rubbish. I reckon you're thinking, I want doubles.
Oh, correct, 100%. Once you get 8, you travel all right. You've still got time left. Double figures is the only thing on your mind.
And you're sitting 9th, so you're right on the bubble of the 8. This is late in the year, obviously. What about the team at this point in time? Did you feel like you were building and could do some damage?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just get on the shoulders and I'll carry to the finals, boys.
So, once again, we've seen Darren Kapler, who was a marvellous kick, just really great penetrating kick. And you've led out. TC's gone to the ball side. You've nudged him out under it and just used judgment. You've almost taken a carbon copy of a mark you took in the first quarter, exactly the same way.
Loved leading to Darren Kapler too, because he could kick at 70. And he just used to put it out into space and give you a chance. So another nice kick, I hope. Has that gone through?
That's 10.
Nice.
That's 10.
Yeah. I described you as the Alan Border of full forwards. Nothing flash, just lead out. Like just a dab behind point, backward point. Yeah, take the single there. Just rack him up, Pig.
Geez, I got nothing from the box either, did I? Judging Swabby giving me donuts.
And was the Bushman sort of part of your post-goal routine, Jace?
Yep, always. And then a little spit on the hand to get some stickiness.
And what about the fish? He's cramped in right next to you. I can remember the Dunstall from my era would say, hey, how about a bit of space, big fella?
Yeah, but by this stage, Fish was moving like a glacier, so he wasn't going to lead and take his space. He was just staying in the goal square, having a spell, waiting for the long kick.
All right, we'll let you get back to the races, Jace.
Thanks, boys.
Jason Dunstall. It's his game. He's got 10.
And you've just seen, he's not even watching the footy. That is why year after year, when we voted for our best teammate award, that is why he came 38th out of 38 every year.
He wasn't giving us much, was he?
Well, he didn't give his teammates much either.
Martin claims the mark here, and it's been paid.
He had some good moments in his career, this young fella Martin. He had a blistering pace, and if on the right occasion, right grounds, he could cut teams open.
So he's in a good spot here to kick truly. Fair to say the Dogs need one. And well executed by Michael Martin. He's put it through.
Well, I don't want to give it back onto Das, but I reckon the Dogs aren't going too bad around the ground, but it just keeps breaking down at centre-half forward. They just can't get the ball. No one's clunking anything anywhere between about 50 out and 80 out.
Yeah, they need a Chris Grant at each end, don't they?
Yeah.
He's played a really good game at centre-half back, Chris Grant. We know he was such a good forward as well when he was there.
Yeah.
Just his 10th game, Michael Martin for the Bulldogs. This one is Johnson coming off the square.
Holland in the ruck.
Out wide to Callett. Darcy with a big shepherd. We'll go short to Collingham.
Oh, hang on, let go. That could be 50. Come back, Richie.
We would have seen 20 50s.
Yeah, in today's
interpretation, wouldn't it?
Langford's back to full back.
Collingham sets it up. The fist away from Holland. Oh, was he clipped then by
Who's that? Was that Timmy Hargraves? Head over the footy. Look at that surface.
So getting close to three-quarter time.
And you used to get leg heavy out there as well, Nick. If you played out there 4 weeks in a row with the surface like this, it would be heavy underfoot and it would really drag on your legs.
Wind the tap. Dogs would love a late goal here.
Stevie.
Here I went for a ride.
So Stevie Lawrence is playing as a
Full-back.
Full-back.
Yeah, and Langford's following the more mobile player up the field now.
Woods kicks out to half-back, and the siren sounds. So the Jason Dunstall show has continued. He's kicked 10 out of 11, and there's still a quarter to go out at Waverley. 11-10, 76 to 5-4-34. And once again, Fox Footy Live will be with you all through the week, starting Monday from 6 with the 360 and on-the-couch editions.
Probably have a bit to talk about Monday if we get a little bit of a clearer picture from the state government at least, Hardo, so looking forward to that.
All right, join the boys with thanks to Bailey Ladders.
You're watching Super Saturday on Fox, brought to you by Ford Ranger.
So it's a tumultuous time in footy. Of course, the merger proposed between Melbourne and Hawthorn. Brian Dixon and Don Scott led the charge against it. It was a passionate time, and none more so than in round 22 of this year when the two sides met. Jason Dunstall kicked 10 and got to 100 goals for the last time. That was some sort of match.
Chris Langford walked off that ground, and I think a few of the people were happy. Big Julio, he took his jumper off and held it up above his head.
Oh, right.
David Neitz, what a grab. And just showed the Hawthorn jumper. And up until that point, the players had subscribed to whatever the senior board was saying. And Langford was the first one to say, no, I'll have my own personal belief, and held the jumper up above his head. It was the last game that Andy Collins played for the club. He got reported that game and was suspended for the next week. They played the first week of the finals.
All right, let's get into the last quarter. Jason Dunstall takes 10 goals in. Bulldogs obviously struggling. There's Andy Collins. Clearing kick away from Harford and Johnson. And Johnson gets past Harford, but not for too long.
You make 2 quarters ago, Nick, you said the Doggies, 96. This is round 19, and they're on 18 points. So they've had a draw. They've won 4 games and had a draw in there, and yet they made it to a preliminary
back-to-back, 97-98.
Yeah.
Scotty Wine. Crawford got through a few, but couldn't get past Liberatore.
No one did. He was such a good tackler. He probably just got rid of the ball early.
Bit high, maybe.
You remember that movie Alien, when that thing comes out of the egg and sucks onto that bloke's face? That's what Libba was like as a tackler. he had like suction cups on the inside of his arms. And you couldn't shake him. He just was his best tackler. Unbelievable.
So low to the ground, too.
Yeah. And what he had this ability, being that size, you made it work for him. Some blokes tackle, they get to you, they wrap the arms around, and then they run along and trail with you in the tackle. Libba hugged on and pulled his legs up, so you had to carry his weight. And he's just a brilliant, brilliant tackler.
The alien analogy.
Yeah.
I like it.
It was like he sucked on
with some rippers.
Yeah.
He's had a big day, too.
Oh.
Throw it half back, Callett.
I'm loving it.
Johnson. Here's Collingwood off the left.
You see, Jono's still got the little off-the-shoulder number running around there.
Not sure I had enough funds to get the
one set of jumpers at the Doggies.
Kick goes deep. Grant, what a recovery.
There you go.
What a player.
So from backman to forward, and that is the first real pressure overhead mark we've seen in the Doggies forward line anywhere out from about 25 metres from goal.
18 seasons, 341 games, 554 goals. Kicked 51 goals in his debut year in 1990.
50,
yep.
Straight up. Chris Langford was on the mark. He must have been arguing with it. Would have been quite a philosophical argument from Chris. Yeah, he's just walking back now saying, well, I don't need this. Yeah. So Langford would have been arguing about the distance of the mark there, knowing that it would have tested the distance.
So was that, why was he not on the goal line?
Yeah, I thought it was inside 50.
So the 96 Brownlow, we talked about it earlier, how close Chris Grant came to winning it. James Hird, Michael Vossen, Corey McKernan all tied with 21 votes, Corey, not eligible. That memorable tie combination there. With poor old Corey having to watch it.
What a close count.
Yeah.
Look at that. Burke on 20, Hocking 19-7.
That was the report.
Sort of dropped the niche, but didn't go through with it, did he? But, yeah. Barnesy copped one for his corner there.
That's unreal. So now you get...
Oh, you get weeks for that now, yeah, because the intent...
Yeah, weeks, or do you just get a reprimand,
actually,
maybe?
yeah, you probably would.
Probably just get a fine. Still be eligible.
That just makes him feel better as he's watching.
Yeah. It's like extra time in a grand final.
Oh, Jono, look at the little offside shoulder number. Here we go. Right shoulder.
I think he's quite enjoying it.
Yeah.
Makes him look tough.
Yeah.
Johnson, pokey kick.
You could go back in after the game and say, look, coach, I've been in a scrap.
Hey, set up young Wirra to be knocked out then too.
Wirra. The ball goes over the line and out of bounds.
Here's the big fish. Look, Windy's a big man. Look at Fisher's size next to him.
Scotty West on the bench, as you said, injured very early in this game. Didn't touch the ball.
When did Wind was 1990, Brownlow? Is that
early 90s, yeah.
92 was
92,
Brownlow,
was it?
Yeah, I think Libba was 90.
Oh, tunnelling. Got away with that.
Captain
there,
from 94 to 2000. 13 seasons Scotty Wine played.
So the interest in this one now is how many can the big ordinary pig in the goal square for Hawthorn kick? He's on double figures now.
Salmon gets the hand pass to release Pritchard from the stand start. Kapler. McCabe.
Yeah, well worked.
Now the kick.
Look for him.
Here, no.
Oh, Stevie Lawrence.
Look how long his legs are.
Yeah.
You look at him and that's the first thing you think.
Yeah.
You just think he's really long. Yeah. Spent a year in his life, took his wife to live just outside, I think it was just outside the Vatican City. Yeah, he studied theology at school.
Comes in, he's kicked that all right. Hawks are dominating at Waverley. Dunstall's a bit unhappy because someone else has bobbed up and he had 10 of the 11 goals up till now.
Is that Mark Smythe? I reckon that is Mark Smythe. But at Footscray, the trainer there on the side, he was the phys editor at St Kilda when I first arrived.
Right.
He had the pre-season program, Smythe, and Blighty had just arrived as a coach and say, we're going to swim here and we're going to ride bikes and cross-train on. Blighty got out the big texter and there's no velodromes on the oval. There's no swimming pools on here. We're going to run.
Oh, hello. Yeah, he's just wiped out everything. Yeah.
Right, we're going to run.
Yeah.
Hudson's kick is good. He finds Crawford.
They're queuing up now, which is not great for a full forward because you got all your teammates in the middle of the field thinking, I can run forward here and get a cheapie. Richie Taylor was running forward alongside him there. Crawford a bit wider.
Can go one of two ways. Either that they can start to queue up themselves or they can actually go...
Let's get him over
the top out of their way looking for the full forward.
Well, you've got to remember too, that you had to like somebody if you're going to do that.
So there was also Fitzroy's final season.
That was Doc Wheeldon on screen.
Yeah, Mick Noonan was the coach.
Paddy Primus was number 12.
Ended up with, I think, Alan McConnell in charge. But last game was at Subiaco. It was a really sad way for Fitzroy to go out. It had an emotional game at the G, I think, against Richmond, and then it all finished over in Perth.
I can't remember, but Richmond Hogg, did he finish at Fitzroy? It looked like his face.
Jeff Hogg, yeah.
Jeff Hogg?
Yeah.
Did he finish at Fitzroy? Was he in that team?
I can't remember which way he went. Well, I think he went, didn't he?
It looked like him in the face.
No, he was definitely played for Fitzroy.
Right, okay,
so
that must have been him then,
to Fitzroy, Wirra scrambles it forward. Here's Johnson.
Sidestep.
Oh, he just...
he's poleaxed him.
Got him too.
You reckon you got hit by Moons hard? has left a big red rose on his cheek.
Ruby red cheeks.
What's this? Timmy Hargraves. Oh, Jono. He's actually had a good game, Jono.
You sound surprised, don't you?
No, he has hundreds of good games, but he's only young at this point in time in a team which is getting pantsed.
Holland off to Collins.
Set that up.
Harford, go.
Just that with Harford as well, recognising...
Oh, silver service.
Harford recognising the swiping arm has gone forward of the mark, so your knowledge just to play on straight away. Langford cruises past. Yeah, they're queuing up. If Chris Langford's running down the outer wing, they're queuing up.
This is what we were talking about at half-time, Doom. The tail end of that play, it looks quite unremarkable, doesn't it? But all the work had been done...
in the goal square.
Five seconds before that, when he actually shakes his opponent and burns him off with power and timing.
So he's going in the gym and I think he lifted 160 kilos free weight bench press. So what you would have had at the start of that was a bench press on his opponent and then the lead and the veer out.
That's 11 goals for Jason Dunstall. Doom, I think this got something for you here.
There you go, clutch cargo.
He looked a bit like Roger Ramsey.
Roger Ramsey.
Did we get Roger Ramsey as well?
He used to get that as well, yeah. We like
clutch cargo.
Clutch cargo just sort of rolled off the tongue a bit better, though.
Got a teammate, Luke Penny, who used to get Roger Ramjet.
Did he? Yeah.
So back in the middle.
Having said that, every bloke wanted to be as good looking as Chris Langford as well.
Here's Crawford. McCabe, already the eyes are up. Is Dunstall going to lead into the path of Richard Taylor?
Not his best kick.
Dunstall can't take it. Now an opportunity at ground level. Tried to brush off Johnson. Hand pass to Hargrave. He flashes through and kicks a goal. They are all lining up now to get in on the party.
You could see the strength in the legs there, couldn't you? It was almost, he just did it with disdain almost. Stood there and waited for a teammate to arrive to be able to dish the handball off.
Yeah, he's just stood up in this tackle. I see his recovery then, even as on weary legs. Jono tries to stop him, but no, Pig's going to stand up in that tackle. It just looks a very unnatural action for Jason to handball, doesn't it? He almost does like the under-12, face the knuckles towards the ball and hits it with the inside of his wrists.
Thank goodness we're doing 8 quarters through. I don't know where Doom would go by the time.
He's got a little diary of Jason insults there under the desk.
No, it just comes naturally.
I believe that too. Kapler goes to Hudson. Ball pinballing around.
Oh, hang on.
Kapler. Crawford. He'll shape a shot for goal.
He's hit the wrong side of the footy.
In all seriousness, though, Doom, he must have been great to play with.
Oh, he's fantastic. He was incredibly smart, and so you would find that if you had the ball and you came out of a pack, came out of congestion, and you put a step on a certain way, and then you raise your eyes, he'd already be in that channel. He had an ability to work out what was unfolding with the ball carrier ahead of him. He's such a smart footballer, as well as all the natural gifts. He didn't have a great deal of endurance, but every other gift you want in football he had.
Hawks rebounding again. They're after more. Oh.
Is that Das? No, Big Ilya.
Big Ilya crashing into the fish.
That's what Fish is thinking. I don't need this at 31, 32.
Is he reporting him here? Kieran Nichols giving him a bit of a tongue lashing.
He ditched the long sleeves, the umpire.
I had to. Back to the wing.
Darren Kapler 3 times this quarter has had to fly at centre-half forward.
Straight to the lap of Collins.
Andy Collins there just dishes the handball off, and then knows he's going to be knocked to ground by the bigger body, but just gives it.
Crawford to Condon. Dunstall again.
How
it's
many
just
times?
amazing, isn't it?
Oh, he's going to pass.
Oh, you idiot, Dunstall. How many
times? Get out.
How many times did he just take the ball to the fat side, to the away side from where the kick's coming?
Shields the drop.
Yep.
Big frame, big broad shoulder, big back.
Big frame. We're talking Simeon frame. Big silverback frame.
So Paul Hudson right in front and drives it through the middle.
And a lot of these would go down as contested marks. He'd be up.
Oh, yeah.
He'd be up sort of 8-10 contested marks.
Yeah, and it came in the statistics, you know, the contested mark. So this is a pure...
That's a contested mark.
Yeah. You've got Credihook back on him now. But then marks on the lead.
Yeah.
You know, well, you're probably the best of all time to discuss that. The effort that is required to mark on the lead is the equal of any contested mark whatsoever.
Well, you've contested it before you mark the footy.
Yeah.
You get there at the end of a long lead, but the contesting happened in the takeoff.
This is Hudson's last year at Hawthorn.
Hey, he went to the
6 years at Hawthorn, then he went to the Dogs first. Went to the Dogs, played through that really strong era. Terry Wallace, 97, 98.
Oh, TC, he's down the other end. Right, whoever gets away from the pig does all right. Yeah. We saw Critter take a mark down in the forward half.
You'd be well motivated, wouldn't you? You want to go forward and put in a good shape so you don't have to go back up the other end.
It hasn't been a big match for him individually at this stage. Couple of steps. He's a big kick of the footy normally, but he doesn't get all of that.
Oh,
Darcy, it stays in.
Do you reckon if you're at home and you know this game's coming up, you say, hey, kids, come. Well, there's a game I'm playing today on TV. You sit around and watch it.
What was Livers Brownlow? Was that 80?
90, I think.
Okay, 90. Brad Hardy was 85. I didn't think it was a Dogs player in 85. Yeah, Brad Hardy.
Right. Langford heads out to Pritchard. Snap, he's off, half back. McCabe. Good guidance on the kick to Crawford. Now Lekas.
Oh, hang on.
Dunstall!
Oh, look at that! He got off the deck! Come on, Critter. They are ruining the loss of Zeno Zatzaris onto their list right about now.
Well, there's 4 of them there. You'd love one of them to fly and actually get a bit of body on.
So for a dozen.
13 marks.
Jason Dunstall. Hawthorn fans watching on. They've seen him dominate so many times, but he's on his way to a special total. 12 goals for Jason Dunstall.
And apparently, there was about 400 people queued up outside the rooms, all with their notebooks open and ajar and pen in hand, and all said, Jason, autograph, please. Didn't sign one. Did not sign. Burnt every one of them. Just burnt them to a cinder. Just put the head down and walked past every adoring fan.
And he's taken Nick under his wing since Nick's joined our commentary team in how to deal with people. There's some of the numbers. Incredible. Peter Hudson's record is just extraordinary.
Yeah.
129 games for 727 goals.
So it shows you there, Dunstall going into an open goal here. Jose. So Dunstall 4.66 at Waverley, Nick, as you asked, what's it like playing out there? What was he, 5.3 or something?
Yeah, over 5.
So it shows you how well he loved this ground. The other one that we talked about was earlier today. We were talking, Anthony, about Alan Jakovic in his first 48 games. He had an average of about 5.9. Now that's 2 seasons.
Yep.
And I think his very first game he maybe kicked 1 goal or no goals 3. So add that to it and got dropped thereafter and didn't come back to about round 9. He was an incredible goal average as well.
Taylor gets it deep. Dunstall with 12. Clears a path and tried to. And he looks exhausted now as he crosses the line in the pocket.
You're warming up the vocal cords there, Hutto, in the next one.
No, I don't.
He's on 12.
He's on 12. It's OK. Hawthorn lead by 66 points. So the game itself is over. The question now is how many can Jason kick?
That was the first screen too. See up
the
there,
old
Nick?
famous scoreboard.
It was in browny, orange. Yeah, no colour up there, mate.
And
if this goes out, I'll tell you what Chris Langford used to do as a full back on that screen. In a second. Wait for this one to come down. Okay, so Chris Langford, you'd look up the other end of the ground and he'd be guarding a Tony Lockett, a Gary Ablett. He'd play 5 metres in front of them. See, there's the screen. Yep. 5 metres in front of him in the edge of the goal square. And he'd watch the play on the screen to see when he had to turn around and look at the oncoming ball. Yeah, he used it all to his advantage like that, yeah.
They had the ads underneath that moved around too, and it just showed before the Richard Stubbs breakfast show's on at the moment.
Was it? Stubbsy.
Left foot kick goes from Wirra, and then more of the same from Cameron. Back into the heart of Waverley Park, or VFL Park as it used to be known a long time ago. Darcy.
He got a kick away there.
For once not getting grumpy with the umpire. That wasn't the best little tap from Scotty Wine. Here go the Hawks.
Did you play against Mark Graham? You clipped the back end of his career?
Yep, I did.
Good running athlete. He'd have been sort of seized up a bit. It's not seized up, but his running capabilities would have come down a bit.
Played on him once or twice. I was a young forward.
Always asked, you know, he was probably about 6'3", tall, 6'3 and a half, but probably played low 80s kilos, and was asked to play on Carey, Lowe, yourself. It's just always undermanned. That's why they recognised that they needed.
Here we go.
Langford.
Kepler kicks it long. He's got it again.
That's the vice. There's beautiful hands above his head, Dunstall.
He's launched well. A couple of these in the last quarter.
He's found a spring in his step, hasn't he? Do you really reckon he's watching him go around at Doomben at the moment, or he's watching this?
He's turned back.
Yeah.
He's timed his run.
So this is for 13. Jason has asked for something special.
Oh, I knew.
He's put it through. That's a lovely goal from Jason Dunstall.
That's it.
That's 13 goals.
Oh, no.
Beautifully done.
It's the only reason it's the only reason we came in, Hutto.
Sorry to disappoint.
Not often in life, the world, society, has anybody taken out a patent on a number. You've got the patent on 13.
Well, the game's not over yet. There's still a chance.
But the number's up. Look, how many?
Yeah, he's got 13 goals.
What a letdown, Hutto.
Oh,
sorry to disappoint. 18-11 to 7-5.
Ilya.
Cricket kicks the mid-side 50.
Langford.
Here's Langford.
On the left, if you don't mind.
He looked majestic coming out like that, didn't he? Yeah. Straight lines, he's still really fast right now.
Crawford goes long.
Oh, brave.
Stood his ground there.
That was brave. That was a good mark.
Jono, get out of his way.
He's trying to milk a 50 off Jono.
Okay, goes short. Here you go. He's got it again. Somebody's
yelled at him. One of his teammates has yelled at him and said, come on, play closer, wah, wah, wah. And I reckon he's yelled, watch him. Oh. He's yelled at him, something in your face.
So Dunstall comes in and kicks another goal. 14! 14 goals! Can you believe it?
Watch Creta. I reckon the last word's face. Yeah, shut your face.
You can work out the rest.
Bung. Are you with us, Pig?
We've dragged him away from A6.
You're on 14.
I just heard Hutto going off. Nice little pull kick from Lee McCabe.
Another beautiful kick, though, Bung.
Yeah, and he looked like he was going to blast it long, and he just pulled it late.
So we saw Critter. He was screaming at his teammates then, but he was almost telling them, can you remember what he might have been dirty on?
He's just dirty at the lack of pressure on the ball coming down, no one jumping in the hole. I mean, it was a tough job for him. The ball was coming down a lot. And as a key defender, he was a little undersized. Good fella, but a little undersized.
Hey, have you changed your cap from earlier on, Jace, or is that the same one?
No, it's a different one. He had the Chicago Bulls on earlier.
This is the third cap I've had on. It's taken you a while to pick it.
I'm sort of looking for that lush hair, mate. That's what I'm all about.
Look at this ordinary chase. I'm going around like the Queen Mary. Put the brakes out, son.
Are you just thinking now, rack 'em up, just give us everything you got, boys, or are you looking to let some kid kick a goal early in his career, Pig?
Right now, I'm thinking about a beer after the game, Derm.
Back in '96, what was the tipple of choice, Jason?
The tipple of choice, just beer, mate. Beer, man.
I remember when you had to get off the rums because you used to go silly.
Oh, yeah. That dark spirits, mate, no good. That was like you on the burner.
Wasn't meant to go there.
What was your best game, Jason? This is obviously a huge 14-goal game. How do you rate games as a full forward?
Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes things just go for you. So I reckon a couple of best games I played with a couple of times I kicked 12 against Geelong. They, to me, were probably tougher performances personally. Something like, and that's, I'm not trying to be disrespectful in any way, shape or form, but sometimes you have to work harder, sometimes you have to play better to actually get the result.
Do you remember, Jason, I think that game you kicked 12 against Geelong, and people are going to have to go to the record books to look this up. Wait for this, Nick. Princes Park, Hawthorn, we kicked 20 goals after half-time.
Yeah, that wasn't the day I kicked 12. That was when
wasn't
that big comeback turn from 54 points down early in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Well, what about when you kicked 17? That was your best? Is that right?
Yeah, I got, mate. Saw me get a free kick early in this game. I got 2 free kicks against Richmond that day, and that just didn't happen, really. 3 kicks to forward. That was a thing of green.
Well, nothing's changed then.
Hang on, you could line up here. Oh, no, he's pulled it. He's pulled it. He's gone to Little Croft.
Clear the 50 out. Would you have had a sense that there was still, what are we, 6-7 minutes to go? Clear the 50 out. Try and equal the PB or get to 18.
I'm pretty knackered by now, really. So I'm kind of thinking, let's just get through the game. Where's the siren?
One thing I'll notice, Jason, though, earlier in the game, I don't know whether it's the timing right. Your timing's beautiful to mark the ball away from the kicking side. We watched Crawford kick a goal. That should go through. Lovely kick. You're actually jumping at the ball better the later the game goes on. Is that just a timing issue, or you feel like, there's a few under my belt, I'm a bit freer here?
Might just be a confidence thing, Dan. Truth be told, I probably wouldn't have noticed it, but I think sometimes when you're on a roll, things come a little bit easy for you. Maybe it's just a case of that happening.
Hey, Jason, just a weird question for you. Given you were playing out of the goal square, did you get to know the goal umpires?
Oh, my goodness, Hutto, that's such a nerdy question.
What about the goal umpire on this night with the Dick Dastardly moustache?
Who's in every highlights package from the 90s too.
No, I'm not being disrespectful, Hutto. I was only joking. No, I didn't really get to know him. I mean, you'd give him a polite, how you going or whatever, but nothing aside from that. Give it to me, Hutto! All have a shot.
You don't really like people, though, do you, Jason?
Jason's like one of these blokes, these people who loves their dog more than humans. He just doesn't have a dog.
I don't know what you guys are talking. This is my 3rd year at Fox Footy now, and Jason and I are peas in a pod.
Yeah, I know.
Well, maybe
you got to go home and have a good long hard look at yourself.
The less time you spend with Dermot, the better, Rui.
I am still waiting for him to sign my footy card that I've been bringing in for 3 years.
Jason, in your career, what have you kicked? 1,200 goals or something like that. You would have been lucky to have signed 12 autographs in your life. You just walked and past everyone and snubbed them. Why was that in your makeup?
You're an absolute idiot, Dermot. I have spent hours signing autographs and doing things for people. You just don't see it, mate.
Admittedly, I didn't see it. That's right.
All right, we'll let you go, Jason. Well played. I've given you the 3 votes for this afternoon's game. Dermot's only given you the 1.
Yeah, you might want to double check with the umps because forwards didn't normally get the 3 votes. I'm not sure if I got them that day.
No, you did. You did.
Have fun, boys.
All right.
See you, mate.
Soon, Chief.
Jason Dunstall, his 3rd cap. Only the 2 opponents we've seen.
Yeah. 4 different goes at him, though.
Yeah, and Chris Grant kicks a belated one for the Bulldogs.
So you're already seeing Grandy's prowess as a forward after moving to the other end of the ground. Leon.
So you call Jason Pig.
Yeah.
A lot of people call him Bung.
Yeah.
He gets Chief. He's got quite a few nicknames. What was the one amongst all his teammates? Was Pig?
Pig. We would call him Pig. Bung is... The last day I ever work in the media, I'll tell you how he got bung. Okay. But it'd have to be the last day. But he's just a pig of a man. That's where that came from. So that's why we call him Pig.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, but if you roomed with him, honestly, you couldn't call him anything else.
Yeah, the love, the bond between premiership teammates. It's wonderful to see, isn't it? Another late goal for the Bulldogs.
1996. Let's have a look at it. Anthony Hudson joined the working team at 3AW.
Have a look at that.
Look at you. What a wingnut. Look at that.
Whoa.
What was your first year like?
Sorry, what was that doing?
Well, what did they have you doing, Nick just asked?
Well, that was, I was calling matches from 95.
Oh, first year at 3AW.
I'd been at AW for before then, but...
What if Rexy said, son, I'd like a coffee?
Well, I wasn't very good at making coffees.
Nothing's changed, He did the coffee run before this
game. He did too. He got someone else to make it, but thank you anyway, Anthony.
No, it was great to get an opportunity to call with Rexy and Sam and Barras and Walls.
Legend of the game, isn't he, Rex?
Certainly is. So there's Shane Crawford.
Ilya's dropped another one. He's throwing his weight around, Big Ilya, wasn't he?
Bit of carnage.
Short to Langford, and then...
That could have been a nickname. See, you were in the media too late. Ilya Carnage.
Ilya Carnage.
Yeah. Oh, fish.
He's had a day.
Yeah.
Did he get the 2 Brownlow votes?
I think. Yeah. Got the 2, and what a career he had.
Richie Taylor with the 1. Bit more salt in the wounds of Luke Darcy tonight.
Yeah. Darce hasn't had one for the ages.
Lower the eyes.
Harford, McKay.
Looking for him.
I don't think is he still out there?
I don't know. He might have taken himself off.
He would have asked to go off earlier, so get in the showers, use up, because all the hot water ran out at Waverley.
They had legendary showers at Waverley.
Great.
Is that
Big
right?
shower rose heads on them, fantastic. And they used to pump out hot water for a good solid 4 or 5 minutes if you had a dozen of them going. So you wanted to get in there early. Dunstall would have been selfish enough to get in there early, be showered, be changed, and then leave before the crowd got outside the room, so he didn't have to sign anything.
Stay with us too, because we're going to head down to the ground, down to the ground post-match, and hear one of the great post-match interviews with Jason. I'm sure he'd love talking about himself.
Oh.
Out on the ground, he would have been with Knuckles Curley, I presume.
There he is.
Yeah. So 20 goals. He's kicked 14 out of 20.
Yeah, security's ringing the ground. The Ninjas. Look at that, they're staggered.
That's got away with it. He's thrown it twice, maybe 3 times.
He gave away 4 free kicks in that passage.
Play on, play on.
Oh, Richie.
Martin, Liberatore.
Give it to Jono. One more for Jono on the way out.
Oh, is that a string?
As we said, this Bulldogs team played in preliminary finals the next 2 years. So
Stevie Lawrence and Big Ilya. Hang on, Ilya's just looking for an opportunity to fall in. Trying to smack him in the guts. I don't know if Stevie played cricket. I'd imagine he'd have been a reasonable fast bowler with those levers, though. And the bloodlines of the old man, being an opening bowler.
2012 to 10-5. Last 10 seconds. Too far away from the Hawthorn forward line to add to the bag of 14 for Jason Dunstall. The siren sounds. Agony over for the Bulldogs. And a win for the Hawks.
Is that the Johnny Platten? Is that the rat in the coach's box? Is that Johnny Platten?
Could have been.
Yeah, he was injured.
Yeah. Jarman and Ratton were both on this list that year.
Still another year to go. Johnny Platten.
Little Libber at the bottom of screen there. Fantastic bloke. What a competitor. The big fish. So there he is, Captain Grumpy. He's just like Alan Border, Captain Grumpy.
We're standing by to cross to Neil Curley. He's not exactly sprinting, Curls, across the...
Yeah, Curls is trying to get to him. Jason's trying to get to the other end of the ground. He don't want to speak to anyone.
All right. Let's get down on the ground, and there he is. Curls, I think, is just about ready
Right, red
chat
cap.
to the man who kicked 14 goals.
With Jason Dunstall.
Yeah, thanks, Malcolm. Well, Jay, first of all, congratulations on a personal game, 14 big ones.
Yeah, it's a nice change, but, you know, the ball came down a lot and it came down in very good fashion tonight.
That was going to be the next question. The midfield and the runners fed you beautifully.
Yeah, the guys worked very hard. I feel we had probably a couple of slow patches in the middle of the game, but, you know, we finished the game right off, which was pleasing.
Paul Salmon, he's just so important to you now.
Yeah, he is. I think the midfielders love him because he gets his hand on it a lot and gives him a chance to get the ball out of the middle.
And Chris Langford's playing good footy for your back.
Yeah, for an old bloke, he's going all right, Lang, isn't he?
Well played. All the best.
Thanks very much, Dave.
Well, the lights are off already. His voice sounds a bit like a jockey. Yeah, it's a good game. He's a good horse.
What's going on at Waverley? They've already turned the lights off.
Kenny Edwards, there he is, the shaved head over the back. Jason took inspiration from Kenny. Started shaving his head the next week. Not quite.
Yeah, I was lucky to get a few goals. The midfield played really well, yeah.
It was high-pitched, wasn't it?
The only thing he didn't do was lisp.
Yeah, playing really well for the midfield.
Over here, Sarah. It is perhaps lucky that we think Jason might be concentrating on the races.
I'm hoping he's listening.
You make fun of him. We do love Jason Dunstall here at Fox Footy. He is one of our absolute favourites. And what a performance today. 14 of Hawthorn's 20 goals. Of course, the Chief would kick 1,254. This is our post-game show with thanks to Ford Ranger. And we are going to celebrate Jason because today's game was in honour of his big bag. And here's the zero key moment of the match. And it was a moment of teamwork. Nick Riewoldt, unselfish from Jason, who could have gone on and kicked another one here.
Yeah, quite unbecoming for a full forward to give as many off as he did today. I mean, he peppered early too. He had plenty of shots in the first quarter. He had a left footer that didn't make the distance, a bit of 1-2 action and delivered the ball inside 50, and we saw that. Who did he pass too late? It was Paul Hudson in the goal square, who had no right to be there, to be honest, because he was on track, Jason. For
this is the handball, stands up in the Jono tackle, I think.
The strength in the legs here.
Yeah. I think you've been a little kind to him. Each time he dished off, he was in no position to take a ping at them. He was, maybe this one. Yeah, this is the only one. All the others, he was actually being tackled at the time or too far out. I think you've been very, very kind to him.
If he was on track for at least an equal of his PB, which was 17 goals, but a little bit unselfish, I think, towards the end.
Yeah, we didn't particularly like him all that much, so we're kind of happy.
I'm just trying to soften it, mate. You've been going hard for 2 hours non-stop.
I'm getting texts from teammates saying, will you stop pulling the punches on the pig? We hated him. He got voted 38th out of 38.
We love him.
Best teammate of award votes.
I feel very uncomfortable.
Year after year.
We love him, don't we, Nick?
Came last every year.
My poster on the wall. I've got my footy card in the special hard case still.
Don't believe Dermot. Jason Dunstall is a beautiful man.
I'm texting back, Chris, I know I've gone easy on him. Send. Yep.
All right, well, stay with us on Fox Footy because we have another ripper coming up. Nick, it's one of Jack Riewoldt's big games, 10 goals. And in today's day and age, that's a pretty big haul, isn't it?
It is a big haul, and he's texted everyone in the family too this morning. So make sure you tune in today at 3:30 on Fox Footy because I'm going to put on a show.
Brilliant. Jack Riewoldt, this is your show. Coming up, it is a 10-goal haul from the 3-time Coleman medalist.
You're watching Super Saturday on Fox, brought to you by Ford